Michael, I got good news and I got bad news. Which one of these two things would you like to hear first?
Go for it.
Well, tell me which one. You got to make the decision. It's
let's go with the bad.
the bad news is that I'm on day 5 of quitting smoking, so I'm like a fucked up mess of like I just want to smoke.
This is like your 12th try, right?
I'm eating candy. I'm like, I got my nicotine gum.
Are you playing that DS game, Quit Smoking?
No, it's time to be able to breathe again and not die of cancer. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, that's the bad news. The good news is, hey, welcome to the podcast for the first time. You've been on some dojos, but you're here. And what better thing than the Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select to be on? And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And, we have... Okay, listen. Listen, man. All right? It's been a long week. It's like Thursday. All of my energy has been going to basically not smoke. And so, I forgot that Batman Ninja came out, and last night I ended up just playing a bunch more God of War instead of, watching it. Which
I just forgot it came out in general, to be honest.
And it's funny because I've had so little regard for so much of the DC animated movies that, I don't care when Batman Harley Quinn comes.
That movie sucked, by the way.
Oh, it was
I've
terrible.
seen the last 3 other ones.
It's terrible.
Done.
I still trying to figure out who thought it was a good idea to make a really big fart joke in the middle of the Harley Quinn's
really
got
bad.
Stinky farts, y'all. Ha ha ha!
I fucking hated that film.
But I'm really interested in this one because it's got such an all-star cast, such a good production team. I'm not crazy about the idea of Batman goes to Japan, feudal Japan,
Ninja fights,
right? But between the Afro Samurai guy and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and all this different stuff, it's got a stellar team working on it. And so I'm and if anybody could make a bunch of crazy Batman fights cool, I'm y'all are the ones.
It's gotten good reviews so far, though.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to watching it, and I'm definitely going to be talking about it next week. I just forgot. I literally forgot that it was a thing until I was trying to think of stuff that we're going to talk about on the podcast. I was like, fuck! It was even I got 40 minutes. Maybe I could watch the first half of it. I was just no, don't do that. Don't stress watch a show.
Well, I saw the Avengers on Tuesday.
Yes, so I figure let's stop talking about Batman and start talking about the MCU because that's one of the nice things. Most of the other people that I have on this show, you're juiced in with the movie folks over there at One of Us.
Yes,
so you get to sneak in under. They have a big raincoat, and then it's one, please, and then derp, derp, derp.
Yeah, we looked like the tall kid from BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah,
we're doing a business.
Yes,
don't mind us. Vincent Adultman, that was his name.
Yeah. So okay, well here it's funny. I actually have a question about this. So I was looking online and I noticed that on Metacritic yesterday, I don't know how it is today, that Infinity War on Metacritic has a 68. A bunch of outlets were just boo. There was some Toronto.
That's so weird.
The Globe and Mail in Toronto gave it a 38. That's the lowest critical review.
I don't know how.
The blurb is, even by Marvel's own standards of serviceable mediocrity, Infinity War fails. Which by that blurb, I'm
that dude hates Marvel already.
Why did they let you go to this? Yeah, even by their own standards of serviceable mediocrity? Come on, bro. Try already. Or just let somebody else go. But I actually noticed that Richard Whittaker gave it an 88. He's up here towards the top.
Oh, okay.
But
I saw him there.
But Richard Whittaker and I have really weird...
Well, he hates Thor Ragnarok is one thing.
Yeah, so I'm just ooh, I don't know. And he loves the prequels. I'm just ooh, I don't know.
That's a tough guy to trust in anything.
Yeah. So anyway, and I don't really know that you and I have really... We've done some kind of comparison of what we think, but what did you think? Let's cut all this BS, all this preamble. What do you think?
Overall, I loved the film. Okay. I can't wait to watch it again.
Let me ask some questions. Okay,
we're gonna try not to spoil it. By the way,
no
it's
spoilers.
Really hard, by the way.
No spoilers. I don't even want to know anything specific about the movie. I just kind of want to know general impressions. But let me ask you some tests. It's like the IQ test, what's your name? How many fingers do you have? Okay, what would you say your top 3 in no discernible order Marvel movies are right now?
The Winter Soldier, Civil War,
okay,
and the Avengers.
Okay. And where would you say that this ranks generally? Like, because I hate it when people are just like, number 18, Thor 2, number 19. Like, where would you say generally, okay, better or worse than Age of Ultron?
Way better.
Way better than, okay, good. Better or worse than the Avengers?
See, that's a tough one because the main thing about the movie is if you've seen every Marvel film, I would say it's better than the Avengers.
Okay.
But that's because it's so, like, touching every right part of my brain that's like, isn't this fucking rad as fuck? So it's like, for me, it is better than the Avengers.
Okay.
But that's only because it's the culmination of everything that I've been watching up until this point.
Right.
Whereas if you're somebody who's never seen a lot of them, but you have a small idea of it, then I wouldn't say it's better than the Avengers because it's a little less on story and more on or heavy on character interactions.
Okay, because the first Avengers, you could watch the Avengers without having watched a Marvel movie.
You can watch the first Avengers no problem without having you could take your mom to the Avengers and she would only ask you like a handful of questions.
Who's that green guy?
If you took her to the Infinity War, she's gonna be like, you're gonna have to give her a notebook full of like an FAQ to be like, this is who this is, this is who this is.
Well, I mean,
this happened in this and this happened in that kind of thing.
Age of Ultron was like that. Like, I can't imagine watching Age of Ultron without at least. I mean, like, if you watch just the Avengers, I guess you could probably watch just the Avengers and then just Age of Ultron. But like, there's so much stuff.
It's the same with Civil War. Like, you can't really watch Civil War without watching a lot of the other movies.
Yeah,
especially the ones that it references as like the big climactic. This is the issue we have with you kind of thing.
Yeah, a little better. But I feel like at least. It's strange because as the MCU has gone on, I've kind of lamented a little bit, like, why isn't there an Iron Man 4? Because I really like Iron Man, but then you start to realize that, like, it's kind of better to keep introducing new characters and then have them do 3 movies and then get some new people in there instead of... It's the problem that is in comics, right?
Where it's a comic issue.
You can't just pick up Spider-Man 285 and be like, let's see what Spider-Man's up to. I haven't read a comic in 30 years.
You're like, oh, he's fighting a Norman Osborn Carnage right now.
Oh,
that's literally what's happening, by the way.
He's got Dr. Octopus's brain in his head, and he wants to fuck his aunt. And
the Superior Spider-Man was a strange time for him.
So anyway, you would say good.
I think it's great. It's just that if you haven't seen all of the other Marvel films, especially the ones that really dig deep into like the Infinity Gems, you're going to be a little confused as to where some of them came
You're
from.
saying that you got to watch Thor the Dark World. You got to watch the Dark World.
You have to at least have somebody explain, or at least watch the after credits to Thor the Dark World to understand where the gem ended up to begin with.
Let me ask you 2 more like pointed questions. One, I don't look at Facebook anymore, and generally speaking, my Twitter is responsible human beings. But like, how dire is the spoiler stuff that people should be avoiding? Like, because I feel like there's to me there's a few reasons to go see a movie in a theater. One is like, hey, it's a good movie. I want to see it in the theater, right? I don't want to wait for it to come out on video. I want to see it in the theater. 2 is like, you should see it in the theater. Something like, say, like Gravity, right? Or a lot of these a lot of the big special effects, like Pacific Rim. It's cool to see the gigantic.
There's some great sequences that you would love to, that I would want to watch on a giant screen again.
Okay, that's good. And then the third one is like, man, I gotta watch this before the internet's like, Hail Hydra, and I'm like, fuck you. This movie isn't even out yet. Assholes.
My Facebook has been pretty good about people saying, hey, shut the fuck up to everybody. Like, even when I put that I watched it, I just put I put my rating, and then I was just like, and that's all I'm saying, because I'm not saying anything else, because literally everything else I will say will spoil this movie.
Right, okay.
And so a lot of the people on my Facebook are pretty good about it, but I haven't exactly gone to like YouTube videos and gone through the comments. Because even as a Dragon Ball fan, when the last episode of Dragon Ball Super came up, there's constantly comments going, this is what's going to happen, people. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So
and they were wrong, as it turns out, anyways.
Well, what was your time? Would you see it again?
Absolutely.
Do you think you'll pay to see it again?
Oh, no, I'm going to.
Okay.
Whenever
excellent.
I get paid again, because I'm broke right now.
Okay, fair enough. So there you go, folks. Go see it. I'll tell you what I would going to go see multiple times in the theater, except I'm really not going to, because I don't really care. And that's my bad segue to the Venom trailer.
Venom.
Where we finally got a full-on trailer. Like, we got the teaser where it was just Tom Hardy rolling around and there was no symbiote. And I feel like they saw people be like, boo, why is there no symbiote? It's like, oh, this trailer, it's all symbiote, all the time.
It's all symbiote for some fucking reason.
Wait, who is this Fox? Who is?
It's Sony.
Oh, it's Sony. Okay.
My favorite thing about the trailer is it says in association instead of just Marvel now.
Right, because it's part of the Spider-Man.
It's supposed to be, according to them,
Spider-Verse.
But I remember Kevin Feige just looking at the producer like, "What did you say?"
Right. Well, okay, so it's like I feel like this is a pretty good trailer. Like a lot of people.
It's not a bad trailer. It's just that as someone who actually likes Venom in some capacity. It just doesn't make sense to have Venom without Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering is, I know that Venom has branched off, but like when I was reading the comics, Venom was like the symbiote spurned by Spider-Man and Eddie Brock, Peter Parker's rival, so they're like the perfect hate machine of fuck Spider-Man, right?
Like, original Venom is very strange because he didn't even know who Peter Parker was.
Yeah,
he was just a reporter who was following. There was a storyline called the Sin Eater. It was a serial killer that was going around like shooting people, and so what happened was that Eddie was interviewing someone who claimed to be the Sin Eater. And then so everyone was pressuring him to be like, "Hey, you need to tell people who he is. He's killing people."
Yeah.
And so he's like, here's the scoop. The guy who it is. Turns out he was fucking wrong as shit.
Yeah.
It was just some guy who was claiming to be it. And then Spider-Man caught the real senator, and it ruined his fucking career.
Okay.
Like immediately. And so from that point, he wanted to kill himself, and then he went to the church, and that's where he gets the symbiote.
The symbiote, right? But I don't know. You know, the thing is that I don't have any real emotional connection to Venom in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it's kind of like, I don't know. If it's a good story, that's all I care about. Like whether it's Spider-Man or not, if it's a good story, and it looks like it has the potential. I mean, you know,
that's possible. It's just
pretty bog standard.
There's so much baggage that Venom already always has because of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like his whole name is because it's him fucking with Spider-Man. He calls himself Venom because he's both poison to Peter Parker and Spider-Man kind of thing.
That's true, but I guess again, it's one of those things where I'm just so divorced from that.
The story this is based on really sucks.
Yeah,
because do you know what the Life Foundation is?
No,
because they mentioned it in this trailer. Life Foundation was an enemy type. Or not type. The reason I say enemy type because the first time I found out about them was in that Super Nintendo game, Separation Anxiety, because they're the bad guy in that game.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's where you fight them. But they were part of a storyline where he made a truce with Spider-Man, so he went to go live in San Francisco, which is why this place takes place in San Francisco.
Right.
Although there's a lot of stuff in that story that I'm pretty sure they're not going to have, like the underground city that they had in San Francisco. But like that story was not very good, to be honest. But most of that Super Nintendo game comes from it as well. So.
But again, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing just a pretty stock standard, like, oh, I'm investigating this company that's doing bad stuff, and oh, I accidentally got infected with the symbiote, and oh, I'm like fighting for supremacy with this voice inside my head. But here come the evil pharmaceutical guys, and they want to take the thing back, and we're going to an uneasy look. Act 1. Eddie Brock establishes Eddie Brock who he is. He's a reporter. His girlfriend works for the place. There's doing weird stuff. Act 2, he goes. He interviews, tries to push the questions. They kick him out. We literally see that in the trailer. Act 3, Mona Lisa Saperstein from Parks and Recreation, who I cannot think of a worse person to cast because she's such a bitch in that show.
Symbiotes annoys the shit out of me, by the way.
Finds him, says, you got to come in here. I'll sneak you in. He goes in. He finds the symbiote. He gets infected. He leaves. He goes home. He's got voices in his head. He's arguing with the voices. The goons break in. He hits him. We see all this in the trailer, right?
How much do you bet that the We Are Venom is the final chunk of the movie?
Maybe.
The way the Amazing Spider-Man had that rhino be the last scene of the film.
No, I bet it's the third act. I bet it's like, and so then the second act is that he's running away from we've already seen that with the motorcycle and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He's arguing with the symbiote, and finally he manages to get away. But maybe they've got his girlfriend or something, and then he's like, "Oh, now
his wife." I don't know if he's
or
married
his wife,
or
whatever." And he's like, "I've got to go back," and then he's like, "We have to work together." And then at the end, we see they do the reveal in the trailer.
Just so but I don't know, the Venom, the symbiote looks pretty cool. I think when he's wearing it, but
I kind of like the way it just shoots out of every part of him. That it doesn't have to be. It's just kind of like blip blapping out of his back and his front and everything. And
I do hope it because I kind of want it to be good. Because like I said, I do like Venom up to a certain point. Like my favorite Venom was the Flash Thompson Venom.
Yeah,
it was actually really interesting, and even Eddie Brock Venom's interesting up to a certain point. And I don't know.
I think that. I don't think it. I think what I think when I watch this trailer,
there's more like 5 Venoms. That I think of it
is that it could be fine. It just depends on how well it's written, right? Like all it depends on is if it's written schlocky, then it'll be bad, and if it's written well, it could be fine. It could just be like John Wick with superpowers, or a kind of a weird, not John Wick, but you could see a thing where it's just, it's a guy in the wrong situation. He's got superpowers. It's an origin story. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I don't know. It's just an origin. Like Venom just makes very little sense origin-wise without some connection to Peter or to Spider-Man. At least, I don't know. Like, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know.
You know what? Hey, as always on the Rage Talk podcast, everybody's fucking entitled to their own opinion.
I'm a giant Spider-Man nerd, and I have a lot of Venom comics or Spider-Man Venom stuff at my apartment right now.
Yeah.
So I know a lot about him.
The real question is whether he's going to have the big white spider on his chest.
If it's gonna go the ultimate route where he doesn't have it for a long time.
Yeah. But I don't know. I even think that the CGI of the head creeping over looks
pretty
really cool. He looks better than what's his fucking Spider-Man 3 with his
Topher Grace.
I'm Topher Grace. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
What's the tongue thing? Looks pretty cool.
The thing is that I feel like a lot of people
it's still Venom though. It's the most '90s fucking character in existence.
Yeah, but like we live in a world where like one of the best superhero movies is Deadpool. So like let's not shit all over the 90s.
People still really love Deadpool though. Like Deadpool's gotten better as time went on. Venom, people just forgot who Venom was after a while.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's been 5 Venoms since Eddie Brock.
And everybody, I don't know. I'm 40, and so as a teenager in like the late 90s and early 2000s, or maybe
I loved Venom as a kid.
Like there was always that one friend you had that had the big Venom shirt and was wearing.
One now. I have a watch with it.
I'm wearing it under this shirt. I don't know. I think it looks good. If people, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are kind of like boo, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Marvel's been trying to push Eddie Brock again really hard. Like in the comics, like there's a storyline right now called Venomized that kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Boy, that's a bad name. That's a real bad name.
No, yeah, it's pretty bad. But and then like I said, he's Venom again because Flash Thompson was Venom before that. Or well, actually not. No, some guy named like Price Lee or some shit. Okay. He sucked. He sucked really hard.
All right.
But
glad that I have you here to explain.
There's a lot of Venoms.
Anyway, I'll tell you what else there is a lot of, and that's video games.
Yes.
So we're going to transition over to talking about
that separation anxiety remaster I wanted.
No. Although I remember that being an okay game, but kind of hard.
I actually was finally able to beat that game on my own.
Okay.
I cannot beat Maximum Carnage on my own to save my goddamn life.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of Maximum Carnage.
I have both of them right now at my apartment.
Anyway, our first story this week when it comes to video games is about Call of Duty 4. And last week or the week before, we had a story where Call of Duty 4 was talking about scrapping the single-player campaign, and then they were talking about there was a...
Didn't they do that before? Or am I thinking... I know some shooter tried doing that at some point. Oh, I remember what it was. It was the 360 version of one of the Call of Duty games. It didn't have a campaign in it.
Oh, yeah.
And people were pissed about that.
This one is saying that, like, because they're not going to be able to hit their target date that they set of October, and of course they're not going to delay Call of Duty, that they're talking about pulling it. That was last week, and then we had another story that was talking about how that, like, maybe Raven is working on specifically a battle. What do they call those?
Battle
Royale mode for.
All the rage right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll have Venom.
Yeah, maybe it'll have Venom. But the newest rumor is that not only is all that happening, but that, and this is also from this is Charlie Intel, the website, and from a few folks saying that they may be looking at making the actual multiplayer of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 a hero shooter like Overwatch, or more of a hero shooter like Overwatch, where instead of classes, it's individuals that have a different power set. Which seems really strange to me if they're de-emphasizing the story.
It seems like a bad move if that's the case.
Well, and also, your fan base likes that shit,
because
right?
Rainbow Six is something similar to that, right? The new one?
Yeah, sort of.
Certain classes.
Yeah, each individual has a different set of powers. And I mean, like, I feel like in the previous one that they had, I guess the question on my mind is, one, how different is the power set? Is it like only this character can use the Gatling gun? Because
then you're going to get a lot of pissed off people, I think.
Yeah, because
if you do something like that.
Like Black Ops 3 had like the special power, right?
Oh, yeah.
That you could use, and then you would choose that character, but then you could still equip like any gun that you wanted or different skins or things like that. If I'm remembering correctly. But
I stopped playing Black Ops pretty quick. Or I stopped playing Call of Duty in general after a while.
But the idea of, I mean, even potentially doing like a non-kill based where it's like move an objective.
Yeah, but that's not the Call of Duty crowd more than anything. Like if you get a Call of Duty person to play any other shooter, they're just going to shoot people, even if there is an objective.
Yeah,
like I've seen it with my own eyes. Like I've had friends. They're like, we're going to do the zombies thing, but we're going to fuck with the other team. It's like, well, I thought you were supposed to kill each other. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
it. It seems like a really bad idea to me.
It's a terrible idea. Only because it's only because it's Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and it's Black Ops 4. If it was a Call of Duty side kind of thing that's a spin-off, essentially, people would be a little more accepting of that. But this is something that already has 3 other games before it that are basically the same game.
No. Like 12 other games.
Yeah,
before
well, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty fans are crazy people.
Well, no, but they like Call of Duty.
But
if they wanted to play Overwatch, they'd go play Overwatch.
Well, that's what I mean. Like by crazy people, I don't mean like that as a bad thing, but they're rabid about their type of game types. So if you take away their game types as well as the way they will do these things, then you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, which I also wonder.
But spin-off wise, at least then they could accept something like that.
That would, but see, can you imagine? I mean, goddamn,
I can't imagine it.
Can you imagine what it would be like if the trailer for Black Ops 4 is basically like, okay, look, it's an Overwatch clone and it's got a battle royale mode and zombies and no single player campaign.
It sounds like a meme. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah,
it sounds like a meme that you would come up with to piss off Call of Duty fans.
Yeah, like I just can't. I mean, I've always thought of Call of Duty as kind of like the distillation of like skill based multiplayer, like a Quake multiplayer thing where it's all about like how good are you at multiplayer, not about like team synergy.
It's never really been about team. Like the thing about Call of Duty is that even one of the reasons I stopped playing Call of Duty is because I found out pretty early on among my friends is that we did not know how to be a team like at all because every time somebody died or somebody wasn't able to get a kill, we blamed each other.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like right away. And it was so toxic that I was just like, I can't fucking do this anymore. But they were really good at it and I wasn't, so they would always blame me for it.
Okay.
Like, you got me killed. I'm like, this is a team thing. Like, but the thing is that, like, if you're not good, essentially, then you're going to get shit for it. But if it becomes this team-based thing, this crowd is not known for their team basedness.
They're not known for being the most especially warm and accepting crowd. That's
like if it's Halo, sure, but like because Halo was pretty good about that for a long time.
Yeah,
but then it sort of slowly became Call of Duty kind of thing.
Everything becomes Call of Duty eventually.
That was the case for a long time.
That new Venom movie is going to be Call of Duty by the end of it.
I don't know. 5 more Venom sequels.
All I gotta say is I cannot wait for E3 to find out what this is because I don't have a dog in the fight anymore, and if there truly is no single-player campaign, then I have even less of a dog in the fight.
I will just be in the background laughing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy it. We'll play it on the dojo because we play everything. We played fucking 3 parts of Galgun this week, for fuck's sake.
Oh, wow.
Like, we'll play it, but, like, as a civilian, as a person who's interested in video games, it's kind of like, you know what?
I'm curious to see what will happen.
It comes off as real desperate. If they have a battle royale mode, and if they have an Overwatch mode.
It's super desperate because they're looking at things that are already selling really well, and they go, "Why don't we just do that?"
Yeah,
this is how Duke Nukem Forever became bad.
Call of Duty Black Ops 5 is just Destiny, or Call of Duty Infinite Warfare 2, and it's just Destiny. You're doing raids and you're jumping up in the air.
It's just an MMO.
Yep.
But you have a teabag emote instead.
What if Destiny was an Overwatch clone? What?
Everything's a clone of something nowadays, though.
Well, speaking of something that I'm sure will be in Black Ops 4, we actually had 2 stories this week about loot boxes. I'm sure that everybody's just not tired at all of hearing about loot boxes. Basically, both the Netherlands and Belgium ruled in slightly different ways. Actually, the Netherlands ruled that if you have a loot box that contains a thing, and that thing can be exchanged for not for real world money, but has a monetary value. So even if you could do something like trade it or buy it from another player off of a store or anything like that, that technically constitutes as gambling because what you putting in is
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Different stuff out. And they've basically given the game industry, this is the Netherlands Gaming Authority, the NGA, and they said that they looked at all the games, they found 4 games where this was a problem. Now, Reddit seems to think that those games are PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, Rocket League, FIFA, and Dota 2, but they haven't specifically said that.
It would make some sense, especially with some of the ones that you mentioned.
Right.
I didn't know about Rocket League. I didn't know that about Rocket League.
I don't know. But the NGA has apparently given them 8 weeks to basically just like, you got to change it or whatever.
Or it's illegal.
Or it's illegal, right. In Belgium, it was slightly different where they actually looked, this is the...
Isn't Belgium and the Netherlands the same? Or am I just being racist?
Yes. Belgium is near the Netherlands. Belgium is on its way.
Yeah.
So I had to go when we took the train.
I apologize, audience. I'm from America and I don't know maps.
When we took the train to go to my friend's
I'm from
uncle
Texas. I don't know maps, actually.
in Netherlands, we went from France through Belgium to the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
But in Belgium, the Belgian Gaming Commission looked at Overwatch, FIFA, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, and Battlefront 2 and determined that only the loot boxes in Battlefront 2 didn't count as gambling because they've been taken out of the game.
Man, Battlefront 2 fucked it up for everyone.
They really did.
They really fucked it up
They
for
really
everyone.
did. It's like, if you had just let this process marinate for like a year and then just push it a little bit. Like if Battlefront 2 had some loot boxes that gave you like a 2x XP bonus, right?
Yeah, something that's not like they just got too fucking greedy about it.
Yep.
Like it was bad.
Yep. Yeah, that was like EA just fucking they're like, oh, they're ready to pay for loot boxes. All right, everybody, turn it up to 11. Put the cinder block on the gas pedal. We're going for it.
They went for it. Like somebody, like there was a quote from like I think it was like the guy who essentially helped invent loot boxes because he was like a guy who did
work for Magic the Gathering.
It was like mobile development or something.
Oh yeah,
from like South Korea or something. He's like, look. He's like, this works, but one of you is going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Like, just don't push too hard, and it'll be fine. And then EA heard that and went, challenge accepted. And then they
my beer.
They bought a bulldozer, and then they went, fuck it, and then went full blown right into that wall.
Which to be honest, like I have to give all this stuff credit. I like Sterling doesn't like loot boxes and thinks that that loot boxes are preying on people that have, say, like a gambling addiction. And I'm kind of like, a little bit, but like every convenience store by my house sells scratch-off lotto tickets as well.
No, they're literally like toys now that are just like, if you buy the box and you look at the back, it's like, these are the 6 things you can get. Well, good fucking luck.
But that's already a thing. There were capsule machines, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like that's a thing. Well,
but for video
even
games,
more now, though.
I do think that it's worth noting. I do think that it's worth getting a little bit righteous about maybe trying to keep this shit away from kids a little bit more because they don't know no better. And like,
they definitely don't. That's why the mobile thing has been so bad for parents and stuff. Like there's stories of people spending like thousands of dollars on because their kid fucking was like, I want to have the HP coin that gives me like 3 more health kind of thing. Just because they see the words buy and it's attached to their credit card. Yep. Like Jack Black has a story that his kid did that to him kind of thing.
And the thing to always remember that I always like to bring up is fucking Injustice 2 totally has loot boxes in it. Nobody fucking cares because it's a good game that didn't rub it in your face. It was just a menu item that was over to one side.
And you didn't have to... The crystals weren't spent on loot boxes either. You didn't pay for the loot boxes. You paid for the crystals.
Yes.
The crystals just unlock shit right away.
Yeah.
And that's fine by some people because you don't have to buy the Jay Garrick skin like I did with the crystals kind of thing. Like you can just.
I keep looking at those skins in Injustice 2 and going, man, you're.
I spent money on that Jay Garrick one. I couldn't resist it. I'm also, like, I must have Jay Garrick.
I think that with the Game of the Year edition, there's a
Bruce Wayne one.
No. It's not that. It's that there's a thing you can buy. Like I don't think anybody even talked about this. There's like a thing you can buy for like $10 that lets you do the cosmetic respec for free. Or is it 15? Okay.
I saw it on the store because you can buy it on the store.
Yeah.
And I almost did it because I was like, I kind of want to make a great Green Arrow outfit that way, but I don't want to spend that money.
I was getting ready to do it, and then I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you're like, oh, fuck.
No, if the Ninja Turtles look stupid, that's fine. That's fine. Anyway.
I still might do it because I really want to make a good Superman suit.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to play a game that doesn't cost any money, you can play Fortnite. And speaking of Fortnite, we've got a few different updates where... does everybody know about the meteor that's heading for Fortnite?
Yeah, I heard about it through Penny Arcade, actually.
Yeah, where there's a meteor that is heading for one of the bigger towns in Fortnite, and it's literally like getting closer and closer and closer. So I think I first heard about this when Matt Pat was talking about it on Game Theorist, and I think this is amazing, and it just goes to show like what it's like when a developer like really gives a shit. Whereas like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, I think the second map, is it out yet? Is it finally
I haven't heard anything about it.
out? I think it might be out soon. Whereas I'm like, there's like a weird event happening, and so like one of the things is in the game now, there's like test patterns on the TVs, and if you get close, it's like there's static and some weird stuff. There's also, they just put out a new season 4 teaser image that has what looks like a giant meteor streaking through it, which
I'm amazed by this because Fortnite. I remember when Fortnite was first announced, it was just this run-of-the-mill zombie attack you kind of thing.
Yep.
That just like you could get to build walls and shit. And I'd watch gameplay, like beta keys they would give to like, you know, streamers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this game looks boring as shit.
Yep.
And then the Battle Royale thing happened, and it's like, what the fuck happened?
I got a beta key, and I played it, and I was like, I'm not putting this on Rage Select. It seems real dull. And then the only reason we actually played actual Fortnite was because there wasn't anything else out that week. But
but that was the thing, is that like Fortnite kind of came and went, and I had forgot about it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then PUBG, you know, was this huge thing. And then one day I was at work, and a friend of mine was like, "Are you playing Fortnite?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?"
Why would I be playing Fortnite?
And they're just like, "Yeah, the Battle Royale." I'm like, wait, that actually sounds kind of awesome when you put it that way, though. And then you would watch these people do some insane shit, and you're like, wait, this is the best thing that could have happened in this game.
Yep. And I think it's actually really interesting because it shows, you know, a lot of times I feel like as gamers, we a lot of times spend a lot of time. That was a really saying the same thing just over and over again. We think a lot about like, oh, like people call or they'll write into the show all the time, or they'll post a comment and they'll be like, what do you think the next big breakout X is going to be? And this is just an example of like, who the fuck knows? Because the thing is that I wouldn't have thought that Baby's first tower defense game made by Unreal as a weird thing, where I feel like they made that game and they spent like 3 years making it, and they were like, do we still want to even put this out? And they're like, well, we already made it, so let's just put it out. Suddenly eats their lunch because it's like an actual honest-to-God game developer and not some dude that made a mod, which now, you know, some shade towards PlayerUnknown, but but, you know, they went the direction
like the guy invented it, but that's not exactly how it works later on anyways.
You
like,
know
just
what?
because you invented something doesn't mean you're the one who knows how to make it better.
Fucking Blizzard didn't invent the MMO, but they sure as fuck made what is considered the best one. So like,
people love Fortnite much more than PUBG, because I remember I was listening to something and they're like, yeah, PUBG added the ability to like climb over a wall and everyone lost their shit.
Yeah.
Whereas Fortnite was like, here's a fucking jetpack.
Dude, have you ever, I mean, like, I was playing 50v50, which they just put back into Fortnite.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of a 50v50 match, it gets weird because they're literally building the forts because people are so fast at building that it's like your team has now, it's like the circle is closing and your team and the other team have a fort that's like, like 100 meters away from each other, and everybody's just building walls and shooting sniper rifles and doing stuff. And it's just like, I can't play it because I'm not like a sugared up, not roided out, like a sugared, fucked like 13-year-old.
Oh, teenage me would have loved this game.
Absolutely.
Adult me is like, I'm not fucking going anywhere near that.
I look at it, I'm just like, okay, so I'm going to build a staircase now. Let me see. Which button is this that pulls up my thing? And it's like, you're dead. Like, meanwhile, I'm watching two teams fight. They're like building like competing staircases over each other and put like a door in the staircase, and then I threw a grenade.
It's like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's just like the Roadrunner like building shit and like fighting another Roadrunner, basically.
And to tie this into the first stories, you know what? Totally free. You don't have to put any money into
That's the craziest
Fortnite.
thing about it. And even the stuff that you pay for are all skin related, the exact same way as, Overwatch is that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people don't give Overwatch shit for loot boxes.
Yep.
Because you don't have to technically pay for half of the shit. They're all cosmetics.
Yep. Just cosmetic. And I did put $15 into Fortnite, and I was just like, okay. It's weird because basically you level up in a season and you get rewards, and then there's a separate track of like bonus rewards where you
Like
get
they had a dance contest or something? Or
more
something?
costumes, more things, more XP bonuses if you put the money in for the season. And if they're spacing the seasons out well enough, and it's like $15 per season, it's like Warframe does that same thing. Nobody gives shit to Warframe because I didn't.
People forget about Warframe.
I didn't pay any money. I didn't pay any money for Fortnite. I just I paid money for the game. But
Well, because there's an actual. Isn't there an actual game for Fortnite or something?
Yep, it's getting a revamp soon. Anyway, we're getting behind. All right, so we're going to speed it up a little bit here. So maybe you're not into Fortnite. Maybe you're less about building and you're
less about Drake and ninjas.
Yes.
Whatever the fuck those things are the kids are talking about.
And you're more about swimming and turning into an octopus. And if that's your gig,
you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid now.
Yep. Then Splatoon's got the big 3.0 update coming out where they're adding in a whole shitload of new.
Is that a Ranger Smith hat?
Sort of, yeah. They're adding in a whole shitload of new costumes, new items from the first game. They're adding. I'm not going to talk about that bottom part.
Splatoon's another series.
Spoiler.
If you would have told me it was going to be like this big thing for Nintendo, I would have been like, maybe? I don't know.
See, I think that Splatoon, I don't even think Splatoon gets enough credit because I think that Splatoon has done a thing that I've never seen an online multiplayer shooter do before, which is make the goal of the online shooter not about shooting the people, it's about shooting the world. So you don't have to be
the first ones that did that because Overwatch came out after it, right?
Yes. I mean, Overwatch still has that objective, right? But like you can literally just kind of like you could just kind of skirt around people, just paint the back half of their whole like it doesn't matter how many kills each team gets, it matters who's got the most ink on the board.
Yeah.
So you could literally do stuff that is not killing other people and still have fun. Plus, it's a really fun game. But yeah, they're also putting in a new rank, which is the X rank. And basically, right now, it says that S plus 10 is the highest rank. This is going to replace S plus 10. But it's kind of interesting because it's like at the end of every month, 500 players will be in the X rank. And then if you don't stay in that rank, you get booted back down to S plus 9.
That's interesting.
So every month it kind of reevaluates, and the people who are the best get to roll up into this X rank, and it's pretty cool.
I think that's a good way of helping people who haven't like who put a game down for a long time and come back, like because that happens to people a lot, especially in fighting games. Like you put a game down for a while,
yeah,
and you come back, but now that rank is now considered much harder than it was when you got there,
right?
Kind of thing.
But yeah, there's a big old. This is all brand new. It should be coming out pretty soon. They've got some new. They've also have some new levels and some new music. Anyway,
have they announced any new amiibos for it at all?
I don't think so. They announced the DLC where it's like the single player campaign where you play as the Octo lady. And what Nintendo Nintendo Directs ago, something like that.
Yeah, I remember it being a very weird trailer.
Yeah. In an additional news at Nintendo, hey, let's say you bought Nintendo Labo, which I have, and eventually you will see a video. I just have plans. I don't want to just schlock out a video. I kind of want to do something special.
You don't want to play All Star with the piano?
That's yes.
That's a great video, by the way.
But you can now apparently order replacement parts.
What?
If you fuck up
for cardboard?
Yep, you can order more cardboard. Parts range from $1.99 to $14, depending on which part it is.
Be sideways.
You can also though just download a PDF and make your own replacement parts.
That's good on them though.
Yeah.
For letting you do that.
Well, also, John pointed out to me that you punch the pieces out of the cardboard. Well, then what's left is essentially a stencil for you to draw on your own cardboard. And it's strange because at first my brain was like, who's got a shitload of cardboard laying around? And I was like, oh, right, everybody. Because we all just buy shit from Amazon all fucking day long.
Well, and you can just go to a Target, after they finish stocking, just ask for a bunch of them. It's super easy to get cardboard nowadays.
I don't want to ask I don't want to ask anybody at Target anything ever.
Dude, we fucking I worked at Target and I did stocking. We loved when people asked for boxes because it was less for us to throw out at the end of the day.
Fair enough. So, yeah. If you got Nintendo Labo, great. If you don't have Nintendo Labo, perhaps you are going to be buying Dark Souls when it comes out.
Of course you are.
The Switch. Oh, I don't know if I am. I might. I'm kind of on the fence because
it's because you're not getting the amiibo, is it?
Well,
you can't find it.
No, it's more comes down to I've bought Dark Souls so many times, and I'm going to buy it again. Probably the PlayStation 4 version, mostly so I have it so I can loan it to people.
You don't want it on the go. Is that what it is?
The thing, I keep saying this where people are just like, how excited are you? And I'm like, guys, I've beaten Dark Souls a lot of times, and it's not like there's anything here that I haven't done before. Like, yes, I could sit down and run through Dark Souls another 2 or 3 times, but why? Like, I don't even especially...
But now you can do it on an airplane to show everyone how cool you are.
Great. I'm getting invaded from the one other asshole on this airplane.
You turn around as a 10-year-old in the back.
Just some little giant dad fucker. Anyway, let's say, so this week we had the answer to a few different questions about the Dark Souls remaster. First off, Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition on Steam is actually going to be getting delisted.
Really?
Yes, because it's going to be replaced with Dark Souls Remastered.
Is that good or bad?
From Software tends to do this. Like, I think that they delisted Dark Souls 2 when Scholar of the First Sin came out. Well, here's that is an interesting question. Nobody knows, right? Because the original Dark Souls may have better support for mods, right? They may have locked down the remastered version so that you can't mod it as well easily as you can in original Dark Souls. Nobody really knows because nobody has the remastered edition yet. All we know is that by this isn't happening right away, but by May 8th, they're going to have delisted Dark Souls Prepare to Die from Steam. So it's $20 right now. And if you want it, I think that if you're interested at all in Dark Souls and you have $20, maybe. But there's a second reason for that. And it's a question that people have been asking since Dark Souls Remastered was announced, and which is Dark Souls Remastered is $40. If you're on the PC and you have the original Dark Souls Prepare to Die, are you going to get a discount? Are you going to get it for free? What the fuck? Now, I know what the PC Master Race wants is I should get this for free. I paid full price for Dark Souls
gamers in general,
and I should get this for free. Well, you're not going to get it for free. But if you do own Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition, they're going to make it half price.
So they're going to do the Street Fighter 4 thing.
Yes,
where you it's like an add-on basically.
Yes, where if it's $40. I remember they do this all the time. I remember New Vegas was discounted for me because I owned Fallout 3. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But what that means is if you have a PC and you are interested in playing Dark Souls, and you are interested in maybe seeing what it was like, if you spend $20 on Prepare to Die edition and then take your $20 discount from the remastered edition, you'll get both of them for the same amount as the remastered edition.
And they're going to be separate files. Like it's not going to try kicking off one for the other.
I don't actually know, but I think that here. Let me open up.
That's the main thing that I'm not. I doubt it will happen that way.
I don't think
kicking out of one.
I don't think they actually take it away because like I bought. I don't think delisting doesn't take it away. I don't think because like I bought Deadpool, like the PC Deadpool game, and that's been delisted a bunch of times.
I don't mean by delisted. I mean like does it replace it when you
will
buy
be
the remastered? Like does it overwrite? I don't know. That's
I don't
what
think
I mean.
so.
I doubt it, but it's like if it did, that'd be a dick move.
I think it still lists as two different things because I have betas that I've opted into that are still sitting in my Steam library along with the full release of the game. So
because delisting is something else entirely. Because even the Xbox and the PlayStation have delisted things that I still have, like the Scott Pilgrim game. Like
see, because in my library I have both Scholar of the First Sin and Dark Souls 2 sitting there.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that From Software won't be taking
like
that away.
Yeah.
But I feel like they don't want people to go back and buy. Part of it is probably also for confusion's sake, right? Is if you're just like, oh shit, there's a new Dark Souls, like you type in Dark Souls, you go.
Oh no, it's very much to keep confusion from happening as well.
But anyway,
it's not like Nintendo, and it's the new 3DS,
right?
But not putting it like the way you would a new Gundam, which would have made way more sense in my opinion.
Or the Wii U.
The tagline for the new 3DS should have just been, it's just not for show, and they should have made a new Gundam edition because I would have loved the shit out of that thing.
Okay. Now we all know that Dark Souls has horror elements. So if you like horror games, then you might be interested.
The Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
No, in the game Agony, which has been in development for a while. Was kickstarted. Have you heard about this game?
I have not.
This is it's kind of like a you're in hell game, and you're like kind of running through hell and doing stuff. It's kind of an adventure game, but then I think it's also got like some combat elements to it.
This thing.
And it's got you probably know it even if you don't know the name of it. That's been in development for a while now. It was supposed to come out last year, actually. I know because I was just like, every time there was nothing out, I was like, did an Agony game ever fucking come out? I need something to put on the show. Anyway, it looks like, super kind of brutal and dark and like it's hell and whatever. But see, one of the problems that they're having is that when they finally got their game over to the censors, to the ESRB, not the censor, sorry, there's two different things. The ESRB looked at it and they were like, this is an AO game. Like, you've got a lot of really grotesque and like vile imagery in here. This is full on an AO game. Here's what you can do to essentially make it into an M-rated game. So they did that. They made it into an M-rated game, and that's the version that's coming out for the Xbox One, PS4, and the PC later this year.
Oh, okay.
However, like a lot of the games that we see that come out on Steam, the developer is releasing a patch on their website, because the way that they made it M was the camera essentially turns away from the most grotesque stuff in the game when it's happening, or
pulled some MK versus DC shit.
Exactly, yeah. Now there's apparently a free patch that you can download from the developer if you have the PC version that will let you then see that AO version. They just don't want to sell an AO rated game.
So they're saying we don't want you to go to our website at www.
Right.
And then download the patch and then install it and then just stream that shit all over the place.
And what's interesting about this is that actually happens all the time with the hentai sex games.
Yeah, I remember hearing about, what the fuck is that? Island shit? I don't remember what it was called. I was watching another YouTuber play it, and I can't remember what it was called.
A lot of them...
Paradise Lost or something like that?
I don't know.
Something like that.
A lot of them are essentially PG, like they're E for everyone, because they're just like a romance game. But then you can download a patch, and suddenly everybody's tits are out. And you're just like, oh, okay. Which is interesting, because it makes you wonder, why the fuck do you guys even have an ESRB in the first place? And question number 2... why can't I get this patch on my fucking PS4?
Well, it's the ESRB thing makes sense because it's to keep these things from being like sold at like Walmart, essentially.
Yes,
kind of thing. But when it comes to the PC thing, the PC is just the Wild West when it comes to these things with the games.
Yeah.
So that's why it's easier to do it there. But it's harder to convince PlayStation that let you put a patch that turns your game into an AO.
Come on, PlayStation! I want to see those demon tits. All right,
like Xbox. Xbox is going to be like, yeah, it makes perfect sense to put AO anything in our system. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Let's let hot coffee just be unlocked in Grand Theft Auto.
I honestly feel like we're past the point where like, oh, the children. It's just like,
it's not the children so much as it's, we got to keep the parents from losing their shit on us.
Right. I kind of feel like the parents should just get the middle finger and fuck you. Your kid's going to play Fortnite anyway, and we're just going to put these demon titties on our system.
It's more just to protect the entire culture in general, kind of thing.
From what?
From the fucking them trying to make random ass laws against us, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess.
I like how making it sound like we're like a minority that's being persecuted, but it's true though.
Yeah.
Not the persecution part.
Well, yeah, because
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like no politician has ever just been like, "Look at the tits in this thing. We got to get rid of it for the children. Children can't see the tits, y'all."
That happened all the time. Hillary Clinton was one of the.
No. I was being sarcastic. I was being very sarcastic.
No, but still, like, yeah, I don't like it, the ESRB is purely there as a stay away from us. We're trying our best here, kind of thing.
Yeah. So.
Like the MPAA.
Damn, I had all these things lined up into really good segues, and I forgot my segue to the next thing. Final Fantasy VII is a thing, y'all. That Final Fantasy VII remake is working, is coming out. This is just another one of those updates where apparently they're looking to hire somebody, and apparently they've decided that they're going to be changing Final Fantasy VII up and making it all kind of crazy and different.
Like the movie?
No, I think they're basically... it's no longer like a simple remake. It's more like a reimagining, right?
It's one of those things.
I don't think they're going to stray too far, but basically there's a job that was listed that had this quote of the original staff. Let's see. The goal of the remake being to, quote, surpass the original work. And so they're looking to, like, make it a different game, which I feel like we all kind of knew because we saw the trailers and obviously wasn't lining up on this side.
It wasn't lining up at all. Like, and they gave Barrett sunglasses because you're like, the black guy has to have sunglasses to make him cool.
Right.
I was like, what?
But it's kind of a question about, like, how different is it? And if it's really different, then what was the point of even remaking Final Fantasy VII if you're just going to, like...
It's just money.
Make it a whole different game.
More than anything.
Yeah, but I guess here's the question. How bad could it get for Square if they fuck up Final Fantasy VII?
Oh, it could be really bad.
But, like, is it like, I'm not going to buy Final Fantasy 16 bad? Or is it less like, I'm angry on Twitter bad? I will return your game. Thumbs down on Steam. I require a full refund.
No, the main thing is that if it comes out and it's bad, there's a lot of people who are going to be... word of mouth will fuck up a game super easily.
That's true.
That's the thing, is that, like, so if you annoy the guy who wanted this game really badly, he's going to tell the people who are considering it to go fuck this game's fucking ridiculous, and they're just not going to get it at that point.
See, I can see where you're coming from a little bit, but on the other hand, that guy who plays all the JRPGs that comes out...
That much happened.
What's that?
That person already bought it, but the people who aren't the JRPG guy, that's the person that they need to convince.
I feel like that would be different with anything that wasn't Final Fantasy VII, but so many people who aren't really even gamers that played Final Fantasy VII, they'd be like, what? New Final Fantasy VII came out? All right. Instead of, like, reading that guy's 1.0 rating on Metacritic about just, like, Square Enix is shit on my childhood, blah, 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 blah.
The thing is, like, it's going to be really hard for them to fuck it up either way, even if it is a reimagining.
Yeah,
like they would have to change something pretty drastically.
What if
really
Aerith
piss people off.
lives?
If Aerith lives,
yeah.
There's some people who would love that shit.
I would love that shit.
Like, I wish there was an alternate thing where, like, you could get another person killed for all I know.
You know, what'd be funny is if they just keep putting her in perilous situations, and you're just like, they're going to kill her off early. Oh no, they're not. It's like, oh, this is where she's getting. No, she didn't die.
It'd be great if they basically do Resident Evil 7, or not Resident Evil 7, but the Resident Evil remake, where they change when it's going to happen. You're like, oh, this is where she dies, and then she doesn't die for like another hour.
And then, like, she goes,
I guess she's fine. And then
I wanted to go through
her head explodes for some reason.
No, I want to go through the entire game and she lives. And then, like, the last cutscene is just like somebody just walks up behind her and blows her brains out. And then it's just like, what's up? You want her dead, right? All right, there you go. Thanks,
really
bye,
funny.
nerds.
It'd be really funny if you get the whole game, you get through the whole game, and everything survives. And then Barrett trips and his gun arm goes off and shoots her.
Oh, man. All right, let's see what we're looking at. We're going okay here. We're starting to get into the speedy trip, but I'm going to cut a little bit of this down. Campo Santo, the creators of Firewatch, got bought by Valve. They're still making their next game, which is the weird, like, it's the Valley of the Gods, where you're exploring kind of Egyptian stuff. Apparently, it's going to be business as usual. It's just that Steam and Campo Santo apparently both, like, really like each other, and so Steam was like, okay, I guess we can have a game creator.
Valve was like, we need to make games, but we don't want to make them, so let's just buy someone.
So you guys heard it here first, is that 2025, Campo Santo creating Half-Life 3.
Half-Life 3 is just a game where you explore.
Confirmed. You explored an Egyptian temple. They're just taking the lady and replacing her with Gordon Freeman.
Everything's just Gordon Freeman now.
That's
and every now and then that one random dude pops up and stares at you.
The G-Man?
Yeah, the G-Man.
Yep.
I almost said B-Man for some reason.
All wacky. I tell you what, though, if you want to go to Egypt, but you want to do a little bit more fighting, we got a story trailer and a release date for Strange Brigade.
I gotta admit, it looks really neat.
Yeah,
it's got that mummy, Brendan Fraser feel to it.
Yeah, this is
adventureness.
Rebellion, the guys who make Sniper Elite, and this very much feels like kind of like the Nazi zombie mode from Sniper Elite, but with like, you know, Egyptian mummies and scorpions and stuff instead. It looks pretty cool. I'm curious to know, like, what they're looking at as far as price goes, because I know that co-op games like this don't tend to have a huge shelf life with me, where I'll play them for a little while and then I just get bored and I'm like, man.
A lot of these games like tend to work better when you have like a lot of people that you can try playing these things with.
Yeah,
which is much harder to do the older you get.
Yeah,
people's schedules are different, kind of thing.
But
like
anyway,
high school me would have like been like, hey, let's do this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's coming out August 28th. There's also a collector's edition. It has a little airship and some cool weepons and a
build your own airship.
Yeah,
full of acid.
Yep.
I don't know why I said that.
All right, let's see. Next up, we got a trailer for the new Warmind expansion of Destiny 2, which I probably will never play. But
I probably won't either.
As always, it's a very, very pretty little trailer. About
I had Destiny 2 for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I got bored super fast.
Yeah, I there was nothing compelling. I didn't care about the big guy, the big guy who takes your
the guy who's
power.
just like kidnapping. I don't know. It was really like it seemed interesting at first. Like Destiny keeps tricking me with these really nice trailers, and then and I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to do that, and then I'll play it. I'm like, oh, there's nothing.
Right, it's Destiny.
To fucking do here, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, it's Destiny. And every once in a while, I have a friend bring, if you buy it, I'll play it with you, and then I never hear from them again.
Yeah. There's also, they're instituting some new late game content with this, where so they're going back to Mars, but it's the polar reaches of Mars where Rasputin the Warmind is.
You get to fight Robot Santa.
Well, they're putting in some kind of like horde mode thing where it's like you and characters can get into a wave based thing with bosses.
That sounds kind of neat though for the way Destiny plays.
A little bit. I guess the problem that I keep having with Destiny is just that they wasted their chance to get me invested in the storyline of Destiny with Destiny 1, and I don't think that Destiny 2 is going to, no matter. I liked the beginning of Destiny 2, jumps right in, powers you, takes the light away, right? Like, so you can die again, but then you just get the light right back. And so it's like, oh, and I got the light back.
Yeah, but then I got to be Captain America because it was a Titan.
Yeah. And that part is cool, but then it just becomes, again, I don't know.
But no, that's like
mindless.
But like I said,
shoot a bunch of guys.
It wears off very fast.
Yeah,
because the thing about I bought the first Destiny when it first came out because it tricked me, and then I bought the Taken King, which was fine.
I feel like you went to the store and bought like the new Doom game and brought it home and opened the box. And it was like Destiny. Ah, oh, you son of a bitch! You got me.
Destiny keeps fucking tricking me with their promise of a story. And then going, oh, there's a story? Go talk to that guy over there. And then you turn around and Destiny's gone. And you're like, what the fuck?
Damn it, Destiny.
You did it to me again.
Got me again.
I keep falling for Destiny's bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it plays so well, though.
It does. It's a reminder that you need a reason to play as well. Like, I got so much more out of God of War this week than I got out of any amount of Destiny because, like,
it makes you appreciate Halo's very flimsy story. Yeah. Because it plays well, but it still has you invested. Mm-hmm. Destiny's like, here's a story. It was like, well, what else you got? Nothing. Here's a DLC. Is that a story? No.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of good arguments for why Destiny is a thing. It's just that I feel like, you know what? If you want to buy one game and you want to play it with your friends for an hour after work every day, hey, man, Destiny's got you covered.
That's totally fine if you have those friends that will do that.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you have those friends that will do it and that they will keep that promise.
Yes.
Because I've fallen for that 3 times from other people.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm more about marathoning through Yakuza or God of War or something like that. But
yeah.
Speaking of games that you're probably going to marathon through when they come out, Spider-Man.
I have replayed every Spider-Man game at least like 3 times after I buy them.
Yep.
I love Spider-Man so goddamn much.
So here it seems like we're seeing, it says suit selection using phone, not in the game. So we're seeing that there's probably going to have the lo-fi suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. It's probably going to be in here as well. We've actually already saw the regular suit. We've seen the punk rock suit, but they're announcing the Iron Spider suit.
Well, have you read the Game Informer that mentions a couple other suits?
No.
They mentioned that the Spider-Man Noir outfit's going to be it.
Okay.
As well as his wrestling suit.
Okay. But this is apparently based on the new movie?
Yes, that's the Iron Spider outfit that shows up at the end of Homecoming, as well as...
Oh, okay. That's like the advanced suit that he tells Tony Stark he doesn't want at the end of Homecoming?
and then he throws it on him in the movie or whatever.
Okay.
In the sequel.
It looks pretty cool. I mean, like I'm kind of curious to know whether it does anything or whether it just like looks cool.
Well, based on the Game Informer magazine, it mentions that every suit has a specific stat boost to it.
Oh, okay.
So like they said, they like in fact the normal suit is in the game, not the white colored one. Like it's called the classic suit.
Oh, right.
So it is in the game, but it's got like a specific kind of stat boost. The Noir one has one. Every suit has a reason for you to want to end up using it.
Okay.
And they said there are going to be a lot of suits in it, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Cool. And we still got one more. This is a pre-order. Iron Spider is a pre-order along with Punk Rock Spider-Man.
As well as
one other one
that they haven't shown yet.
Yeah. All right, so let's go through
I'm sure you can unlock it or something somewhere in the game.
I'm sure that it'll be available to purchase for $10 8 months after the game is out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Those pre-order suits vary from Spider-Man game to Spider-Man game.
All right, so we're done with trailers. Now it's time for announcements. Platinum Games wants to put 101 on the Switch.
Yes, I love the wonderful 101 though. I have the soundtrack on my phone right now.
Well, there you go. I did not. I
was
don't know.
obsessed with that game.
I think I would like to play it on the Switch because I seem to remember when I played it on the Wii U that it was one of those games where I kind of was just having a hard time with the Wii U in general.
That's fair, but there's a few sequences in the game that made more sense on the Wii U pad.
Yeah.
Because there's a point where you go in a building and then you see the inside of the building on your pad.
Yeah.
But so like, and I remember there was a setting to put it on the screen at the same time, but it was harder to see because of it.
Okay.
So I hope if it happens, I hope they fix something to make that easier on you, kind of thing.
Okay. Well, it seems like they're interested in putting it on the Switch. I don't think we've had a full on confirmation, but given how fucking just crazy they've been throwing everything in the world on the Switch, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they've been re-releasing damn near everything.
Yeah,
that game is also, I keep saying, diplomacy has failed. Unite up.
Including Wolfenstein 2, which is coming to the Switch in June. Now, this is going to be another one where I can't imagine this is going to look anywhere near as good as it does on
If
current
it's anything
platforms.
like Doom, it'll have some trouble.
Yeah, but Wolfenstein 2, I really enjoyed Wolfenstein 2. I really appreciate Nintendo's commitment to putting games out on the Switch. It seems like in the Wii U, you couldn't get them to put a fucking game out on the Wii U for love or money, and now it's just like every single it's like a greatest hits machine that also plays Mario and a great Zelda game. So
it didn't help that when the Wii was out, every time they tried putting games on it, they had to have specific features that Nintendo kind of wanted them to have.
Right,
like which I forgot which Call of Duty it was that was on the Wii, where you could use the Wiimote to melee or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like weird shit like that.
Yep.
So some companies just gave the fuck up.
I would too. Other things coming to the Nintendo, and this one specifically has a very ironic twist, Night Trap. Night Trap, the anniversary edition that we played here.
Oh, so it's coming out on the Switch now.
It's coming to the Switch. Or, did I say the Wii U? I'm sorry. Again.
Yeah, it's coming out for the Wii U. Yeah, of course.
Out of sorts. Real crazy, man. Yes, it is coming to the Switch. And this is interesting because legendarily, back in the 90s, I believe it was, Howard Lincoln, who was at that time the senior vice president of Nintendo, said that Night Trap would never be on a Nintendo console ever. Now, let's see, who is it that said? Night Trap's designer, Rob Fulop, later clarified that what he was basically saying was that, like, you need a CD drive. We're never going to make a console that has a CD drive on it.
At the time. Yeah.
But it's still ironic.
Oh, it's super ironic.
That, yeah. And you know what?
It's good marketing, too, when you think about it.
I think Night Trap would be really fun if you could use the touchpad to go between the different rooms and activate the traps and stuff.
I think it would be... Yeah, it would be very, very interesting to do.
It was a fun game. It was fun. I never got a chance to play Night Trap. When it came out, I was glad that I got a chance to play
I was
Night
seeing
Trap.
one of the alternate endings for it where you could kill the person that you're helping at the last second.
Oh, sure. Yep. There's plenty of that.
A lot of crazy shit.
Speaking of Night Trap, speaking of the Nintendo Switch, speaking of things where there's people, blonde ladies screaming, apparently there's going to be a new Doom movie.
Yes, but apparently it might not come to the others.
Okay.
Because I think somebody announced that the company or something that's making it is known for just sending it to like direct to DVD kind of thing.
Okay.
Something like that.
This was a tweet from Nina Bergman, who I don't have any idea who the hell that is.
No idea either.
Who basically said like, "Hey,
She looks like a radical person.
Yeah. Hey, we're making a Doom movie. I'm in Bulgaria making a Doom movie." That's
Yay, I guess.
Okay, cool.
I love Doom, but like, I don't know.
As long as they don't have a first-person shooter sequence.
I actually like that part, though.
Not
because
me.
the rest of the movie is pretty garbage.
Not me at all. It seems like it should be the easiest one to make, right? It's such a
Doom should be it's an easy concept. Hell's attacking, you're a space marine, go murder shit. That's the entirety of Doom.
That's Doom.
Why is that so hard?
Yep. And then, but see, in between there, you can write whatever you want to. You're Space Marine. You got to hook up with a bunch of survivors on the UAC base. You're gonna like, oh, this one guy, he's scared, but he's gonna have to he likes that girl, and so he's gonna like try to impress her. But
See, that just sounds awful.
You know,
though.
I don't know. I mean, like a lot of these tropes can work as long as they're written well.
As long as it's not the Doom guy doing that part, I'm totally down with that.
Oh no! The Doom guys, it's like the Purge, right? Imagine the second Purge movie where they're all out on the street. You got a motley group of people, and they're all running around. And you got your Doom guy,
one
who's
guy,
like
I'm totally down with that, though. That makes more sense.
Sure, and then let the Doom guy be stoic and badass, and then let everybody else have more characterization, and then just blah blah blah. No, maybe you'll be okay after all, kid. And then fist bump, boom, end of the movie. See, it just wrote it. I wrote it. It's self-writing.
It just needs hell in it.
Yeah,
because that was the problem the Doom movie had. Was it wasn't about hell at all. It was like a virus or some shit. Something stupid like that.
Yeah, it was stupid.
It's a really bad movie.
It was real bad.
It had The Rock in it.
It did have The Rock in it.
Well,
it also had what's his face, the guy.
Carl Urban's in that film. And
No,
people forget that all the time.
The guy that played Pinky, that was the scientist in Resident Evil.
Oh,
like a real famous actor. He played God,
I don't even remember anymore.
fuck, he was like the old Will Robinson in Lost in Space. I only know because I listen to We Hate Movies. Anyway,
I forgot his name.
yeah, I have too. And it's not worth it because last but certainly not least, soon enough, when you're playing God of War, if you want to make Kratos grin like a fucking wackadoo, you can do that. I don't know if you've seen this.
I have not.
Okay, so they are adding a photo mode into God of War.
Okay.
That you can basically freeze the game and then create,
Photo mode is everywhere now.
Yeah, I've never really used the photo mode.
I've seen some like John when Mad Max came out, he used to have some gorgeous fucking photos.
Yep. But so one of the things that you're going to be able to do with this photo mode, this is a little small, is that you can actually change the facial expression on Kratos. And
is it like Yakuza's, where like his facial expression changes, like looks exactly the same for each one?
I think it's a little bit more than that because there's also apparently a grinning mode, and so there's just one screenshot.
He looks creepy there. I'm
rolling around, yeah, of Kratos.
He looks like Shrek with the beard.
Yes, he does. Of him grinning next to a seagull, and I'm just like, well, that's terrifying.
It's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen is Kratos smiling like that.
I've seen him grab the bottom jaw of a werewolf and then just rip it like a big strip out of the front of its
and
torso.
He didn't smile then.
But he wasn't smiling.
But the seagull's fucking adorable, apparently.
But yeah, this seems like a pretty cool mode. Especially,
you can make some cool shit out of picture modes, though.
I just want to make a whole online gallery that's nothing but Kratos grinning like a fucking lunatic in the middle of like.
I want it like a road trip album.
No, I want to be able to stop some of the cutscenes at the end where he's doing just this crazy violent shit, and then I want to stop it, and I want to be like, put that dumb grin on his face. Put it on there.
That's what I'm saying. You can make like a whole, because the whole story is him and his kid.
Yeah.
You could turn it into like some National Lampoon's vacation road trip album that's in the credits or something.
Yeah. I don't think there's any word yet as to when this is going to come out, but as if you needed another reason to get God of War, there you go. And that is the news. And we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer questions. But I also finished God of War. Impromptu God of War review. We'll be back in just a minute. It's time for a lot of things. It's time for a lot of things. There's a lot of things to have. But mail at rangeselect.com is the email address. I will remind you of that later. No need to write it down now. Maybe go get a pen while I'm talking about God of War, and then you can write it down later if you can't remember it.
God of pens.
That seemed to... What are you, God of pens? Okay. So God of War came out. New God of War. And just like Infinity War, I'm going to be talking real vaguely here because...
he smiles a lot and they take pictures.
No, he does not.
That's the end of the game.
The thing is, though, that both you and I, we've got perfect God of War cosplay just ready to go. Shaved heads, big beards, man, ready to go.
It's so hard to keep a shaved head, though.
Which brings up the question of, now, did Kratos... Look, there's only two possibilities here, right? One, Kratos has been shaving his entire body the whole time, right? Or that in this game, Kratos is shaving everything, like he's shaving his pits and his legs and stuff, because he's a totally hairless dude, right? Or that during the God of War franchise, like every other day, he was sitting there with the blades of chaos, like scraping, like Crocodile Dundeeing his face,
Yeah, I used to think it was all the ash Like the ash that covers his body of his dead family that kept everything from growing.
Mm-hmm.
But then his beard popped up, and they're like, wait, that isn't... Now I'm confused even more.
It's a hell of a beard. It's a hell of a beard. Anyway, God of War is out. It's titled God of War. It is God of War 4, sort of, right? Like we kind of talked about that.
It is a sequel.
It is. It does. Like the events of the past games have happened, and Kratos is now older, and he's got a kid.
It's what you call a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Where things have happened, but a new person can walk in and not worry about it.
Yes, and this is an entirely different land with an entirely different set of mythology, and it's really, to be honest, like I saw some people that were giving this real negative criticism for this particular reason, but the description of it's like Dark Souls and The Last of Us had a baby with Uncharted is not a bad description, because this is
that sounds kind of awesome, though.
Yeah, well, so it's over the shoulder. And it's very much got, like, I know that I talk about this all the time, but I'm not just trying to say Dark Souls. It's got the control schema of a Dark Souls where your R1 is a light attack, R2 is heavy attack, L1 brings out the retractable shield, and then, but in L2, you start out with this axe, and it throws the axe. Now, I'm going to take about 5 minutes here and tell you I didn't know, okay? I did not know, Michael, that I needed this axe in my life. The triangle button on the controller is dedicated to make your axe fly back into your hand. And so you can throw your axe at an enemy, and Kratos has a pretty solid move set, a little diminished, no elemental damage, of just punching people if he doesn't have the axe. So you can literally throw that axe into an enemy to freeze them, punch this guy until he gets his little meter up, and punching does like... it's got a really nice combat system where there's like enemies that have a few different elemental types. Your axe has frost, but there's some other stuff later that does different things. You just have to custom tailor your attacks to the thing that you're dealing with. But you can throw your axe, punch a guy. If you punch people, it makes this red meter underneath their health meter go up. And if that hits the top, then you can do a Kratos execution kill on them.
Oh, okay.
And then like pop that axe back in your hand. But see, the thing is that, man, I cannot say how much I love this as a mechanic because it sounds great, and he just holds his hand out, and this axe comes flying back, and it's just like thunk, and then it's in your hand, so you can throw it behind an enemy.
Sounds like that Mjolnir thing that people have always wanted to do in something.
Yes, it's like that. It's like watching Thor, and it's just like it's so satisfying. There have been times in the game where I throw the axe at something to do a puzzle, right? And then we go like, because there's like puzzles where you can like open a door and then you can freeze the gear to keep the door open. This is all stuff that's like in the first 10 minutes of the game. And then it's like you go further along and it's like, oh, here's a bunch of enemies. Oh shit, I never got my axe back. And you hit the button and he holds out, and it takes just like a little bit longer for it to come back because it was way back over there. And I'm just like, oh,
it's really impressive though.
I really like it.
That detail.
Yep. I really like his kid. I really like the story that they tell. I think that the combat system is like old God of War games. Okay, let me tell you what this game is not.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a God of War game.
So it's not like a character action game? It's more of a
for example,
normal action game, I guess?
Like, okay, again, I'm not just trying to eject this, but it's the best point of comparison. The combat, there's no stamina management, but the combat's more like Dark Souls light than it is like God of War. So in God of War, if y'all will remember, you would just hit the right stick to dodge. It was a fixed camera angle, so you would always just hit the right stick and Kratos like goes in that direction.
The first Devil May Cry stuff where like everything was a fixed camera.
Yes.
And every button mostly was just to murder.
Right. This is a lot more deliberate. Like Kratos feels heavier. The attacks feel more like deliberate. Like if you hold down, like give you the axe and you hold down the R2 button, if your enemy is not attacking you, he'll wind up for a really big attack. And when you let it go, he spends a minute kind of chopping on whoever's attacking you, and that is really satisfying. But it's just a lot heavier. Old God of War, I feel like Kratos, a lot of his weapons, especially the Blades of Chaos, they had these really long reaches, right? That the chains would go out. Very spinning around,
insane distance with these things,
right?
And they very rarely made sense.
You would pop them up in the air, and you would jump up in the air. There's no jumping really in this when it comes to combat. Like there's areas where you kind of jump to do puzzles and platforms and stuff like that, but there's no like dedicated jump button. But for example, sorry, I'm getting a little off track.
No,
right stick to dodge. In here, it's push in a direction, hit X to dodge. Like that's your dodge button, right? So it's a little bit more deliberate than those screens where your screen is just full of stuff. But then they give you a lot of really interesting ways to deal with crowd control. Your axe has a few different like special attacks that can be mapped to, like if you hold down the block button and hit one, it'll do this. Those can all be upgraded. You have all these different stats, and you have different armor sets that have like. I
didn't realize there were armor sets in this one.
Oh yeah, in God of War, it was like you had a few, but mostly it was when you beat the game, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here, there's 3 pieces of armor. There's your chest, your arms, and your waist, and you can mix and match. And there are stats, like there's a stat called Runic that does it's your cooldown timer for your special attacks.
Do they all show up in the cutscenes?
What's that? Oh yeah, every single one of them is in the cutscenes. They're all reflected. And then your kid also has a bunch of attacks, which in the beginning seem kind of like worthless, but like as you play through the game, they get upgraded. There's a lot of there's like individual upgrades that are based on your weapons. Then there's stats that are based on your armor, and then there's a bunch of slots in both your armor and your weapon that you can put like modifiers in to do stuff. It's a really fun system, and I really like it. The story I think is really good. It is slightly smaller than I thought it was going to be. Like it feels like it's you know how like in God of War,
more personal kind of thing.
It's more of a story about Kratos and his relationship with a character.
Okay. So it is a more personal kind of story.
Then
because all of the other God of Wars are basically these. There are Greek epics basically.
Yes,
it's not just about Kratos. It's about the entirety of this world and the batshit insanity of Kratos murdering through his way through it.
Right. God of War 2, the point of God of War 2 was that Kratos wants revenge, and so Kratos starts the game and murders his way through every single thing until he gets to the Sisters of Fate, and then he murders them as well, and then he uses the loom to rewrite history so you get another crack at Zeus with the Titans in God of War 3, right? Yeah. This game is less about how many gods can you chop their head off and use it as a sub item, and it's more about a story. That's why it's closer to The Last of Us than I feel like it is to something like God of War. So if you like God of War because of that hyper action, super, 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 and I'm not going to tell you there isn't violence. There's plenty of violence in this game. There's plenty of action.
But is there a sex minigame?
I didn't find one.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody. There might be one, but I didn't find it.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be like in every other game, including the PSP games, which was strange, but okay.
But it is interesting because, it focuses a lot on Kratos as a character and his son and the relationship between the two of them. And I appreciated that. Like, it's a more personal...
Does it play with the Norse mythology but as well as the Greek mythology from the others?
Absolutely. It's almost entirely Norse mythology because they are basically set... This game is set in the Norse world. I don't really know how it fits together. But so there's a lot of talk, like especially but it's also double-edged. So like I feel like in Greek mythology, because Kratos was just like fucking curb stomping his way through that game, you were like, oh, it's Icarus, and then you rip his wings off, and it's like great, and oh, it's the Sisters of Fate, and then you punch them all in the face, and you take their. Whereas here, I actually know, and it's strange because I know a little bit more about Norse mythology than I used to from Senua's Sacrifice, which has a lot of Norse mythology. It has these stones that tell you mythology stories from Norse mythology.
Oh, okay.
And so I actually was unfortunately able to predict what was going to happen with one of the major bads in the game because I'm like, but I know how his story ends, so I know what's going to happen, and sure enough, it did. But
that's the thing. Even with the first God of War stuff, is that you know the stories of certain things. So you you would be able to figure out certain things only because you're like, well, I know how this myth goes.
Well, I guess it's almost like, let's say, what if Prometheus showed up in a God of War game as the bad guy, and like you couldn't hurt him, but then you found a vulture and you were like, aha, vultures! I bet you can hurt.
It's like fighting Achilles, basically. It's like I know how Achilles dies,
exactly.
So I wouldn't know what to do at this point.
But I like it, and it's real long. It's like 20 hours, and then I'm not even done with it yet. There's a bunch of submissions. There's a kind of a randomized dungeon that occurs later in the game. There's a bunch of combat trials. There's one that I'm just like, oh, you fuckers, you fucking fuckers. It's a very difficult challenge that is, don't get hit. And if you get hit, God of War has done this before. If you get hit, the challenge resets. And it's just like, Ooh, like I like Atreus, his son in this game, but like Atreus will comment like where you fail it for the fourth time in a row. Atreus is like, maybe we should get better equipment and then come back, and I'm like, shut up, boy! It's not the reason that I'm failing.
I don't trust you. Get out of here.
But yeah, I really, really like. I could tell.
I know Kratos and his son has started becoming a meme recently.
I love it. I love it. I think it's one of the best games I played this year so far. I think it's definitely going to be on my top 10 of this year list. I think it's a great way to reinvigorate a franchise, which, again, I like God of War, but the last thing in the world that I want, God of War 3 taught me that the last thing I wanted was just another God of War. Nothing wrong with God of War 3.
No,
God of War 3 is a fun game.
The thing about the God of War series is that after 3, you weren't sure what they could do after that. Because the whole point of God of War was to murder the entirety of Greek mythology.
And boy, did they.
and you do very, very hard.
Yep.
So it's like, so for a long time, when I remember when they announced the God of War sequel, I'm like, well, what do you do? Like, you've murdered all of Greece. Like,
yeah, because all the, like,
how does this work?
And then you also have all the PSP games where that are prequels, right?
Yeah, so
you've already taken care of everybody everywhere.
Like, everything in Greek mythology is dead. You've made sure of that 100 times over.
Yes.
So, but I remember there was there's jokes about Penny Arcade where they're like, well, what's next? And you see him like staring at the sky, and you see like God's going like Jesus and Buddha going, oh fuck, because you're like, what is he going to kill next at the point? Like you've murdered all of Greek mythology, and they went. Well, they were watching Thor one day, and they're like, I got an idea.
I also have a PS4 Pro, and I had it set to the high resolution mode, so it was doing the super sampling thing.
Oh, okay.
High resolution textures.
Yeah, super sampling is very interesting.
Looks amazing.
I got a Pro not too long ago, and it's made a lot of my games run really well.
They look really good.
Yeah, Monster Hunter is gorgeous now.
Yakuza was really, really good looking. But it looks really good. It plays really good. The only thing, I mean, definitely this is for people, anybody that has an interest in God of War and won't be mad because they made God of War kind of into Dark Souls, which some people are. You know, I read on the video that we made, somebody in the YouTube comments was like, oh, yeah, I got tired of that axe after like 3 hours. And I was just like, really? Because I was just hitting that button to like, whoop, back into my hand.
It makes some sense for like, because there's some games where when a mechanic is changed, it's tough to really get over it sometimes.
Yep.
Even if it's for the better.
I still struggle a little bit because they let you, it ramps up a little bit. But by the end of the game, I feel like the combat has a lot of ins and outs and stuff. You know what? And just in case the person who was commenting on that is listening, I don't want to sound like I'm poo-pooing on them because, to be honest, like we just recently, I played a little bit of we played the DMC or the Devil May Cry HD collection that came out on the PS4 not too long ago. Matt and his wife were playing that. I played a little bit beforehand. This game is no Devil May Cry. It's not one of those games that's going to require, like split second timing. You can fuck up a little bit, except on that challenge where you can't get hit. You could fuck up a little bit and still be okay. There's some very difficult, like, kind of mini bosses later on in the game, and I managed to kind of figure out a way to kind of bully my way through a bunch of them just with, I'm going to fill up my rage meter. I'm going to get everything all kitted out. Then I'm just going to be like, super special attack, super special attack, and I'm going to get way the fuck away from you and let them all recharge. But I really enjoyed it. If you're in the mood for a character piece, if you like the idea of Kratos and evolution, I think that $60 is great, and I think that the 20 hours ish plus a bunch of optional stuff, if you want to try to do everything, totally worth it.
Like I won't blame somebody who's a fan of the original God of War series for not getting into the new type. Or the new way of fighting.
Sure,
I won't blame any of them.
Yeah,
because it's completely different, which can be bad for some people.
Yep,
but it's good for people who are new to the series.
Yep, but I didn't have very much skin in that fight, and there were big feels. There's some big feels for me in that game.
That's
some of the stuff with Kratos, and I think that it's great because it's like, I really like it when a game or a franchise or a thing does this thing where God of War came out on the PlayStation 2 when I was in my early 20s, and I was just like, yeah, fucking kill them all, Kratos! And now I'm 40 and God of War comes out, and just like me, he's got a beard now, and he's got I don't have a kid, but he's got a kid.
Bald.
Yeah, he's grown up, he's kind of doing things a little bit differently, but he's still very much Kratos, and I'm just like, you know what? I can get behind this older, more reserved.
Well, that's what I love about
Kratos.
The way some comics are going. Like Superman is a kid now, and I'm like, I appreciate Superman aging with me right now, kind of thing. Same with like Peter Parker every now and then they revert, and then I get mad again.
Like you do. So anyway, God of War. I liked it a lot. You probably I can't speak for you, but you know what. Anyway, on to the questions. Mail at rageselect.com. Did you get that pen? You got the pen now? Okay, mail
Kratos
at
murdered that guy.
rageselect.com. What's that?
I said Kratos murdered the god of pens before.
Oh man, God of Pens is dead. Because ripped his pen head off. He took his cap off.
It's played by Kevin Sorbo.
Our first question this week comes in from VJ, and this was kind of directly to me, but I feel like we can both answer. Everybody's got opinions
Sure,
about stuff.
go for it.
This is, hello, lovely purveyors of rage. Now that Jeff has a lady friend, I figured it's time to pop the question. Oh, that's flattering.
He's asking you to marry you.
Yeah. What are some good games to play with your girlfriend to ease her into gaming? Until recently, I've only played games by myself or with guy friends who share the same love of gaming. I tried to get my girlfriend to start with Diablo 3 and Age of Empires 2 HD. However, she was so terrible at Diablo that I ended up snatching the controls away from her most of the time. As for Age of Empires 2, although she enjoyed it immensely, I found it quite boring to watch her play. I was thinking next of maybe trying one of those old turn-based Final Fantasy games where we can take turns and play and enjoy the story, but I'd love to hear your recommendations. Thanks for answering my question, and rage on from VJ. Now, before we start this question or answer this question, allow me to just say, never snatch the controller from somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't end well for stuff like that.
I'm reticent at this point in my life to even when somebody wants me to take the controller from them. Like, I used to have a roommate who loved the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games, but she couldn't do any of the jumping platforms, and she'd be like, will you come in here and do this jumping thing for me? And I'd be like, no, do it. Learn how to jump.
Get good, damn it.
Right. And she'd be like, I can't do it. I'm like, fucking fine. Here. Boop, 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 boop. There. Done. But, part of this, VJ, is it sounds like your question is not necessarily how to get your girlfriend to play games. It's more about how you and her could play games together, because it seems like she's having a good time playing Age of Empires, but you're not interested in watching her play Age of Empires, which, to be honest, there's a lot of games that are not fun to watch.
Oh, no. That happens all the time.
So if I was going to say, your idea of one of the Final Fantasy games is probably a good one, but, let her play the game.
Well, it all really depends on what her type of game is. Like, I've heard this sort of question being answered on other things before. Like, Portal 2 is one that gets popped up every now and then because it's a puzzle game where you guys get to work together. Other times it's like, hey, the game that you guys can trade off on. Like, an RPG is pretty good. Would be pretty good about that, but you'd have to be playing it the way through for that to work.
Yep.
Kind of thing. Other times, sometimes fighting games are a lot of fun to fight another person at. But make sure that the other person isn't too bad at it, because the last time I did that when I was dating, I absolutely wrecked that person at Mortal Kombat because I don't know how to hold back.
Yes, neither do I. And trust me when I say that nobody wants to play if they're just going to lose all the time.
Exactly.
So, obviously, your best bet is a game series that is co-op based.
Yes.
Portal,
even a co-op beat 'em up game is a pretty good thing to try out.
Yeah,
Portal. There's not a lot of thinking to it.
Portal 2, I don't think is a good thing. Mostly because I did play that co-op, and I just ended up the person playing with me wasn't really into puzzle games.
But that's the thing, is that's what I mentioned earlier, where it has to come to, what do you think they are interested in at the end of the day? Because if they are interested in puzzle games, then that's a great idea to do Portal 2. If they're not, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because that will just end up you getting mad at each other kind of thing.
Exactly.
But say like Far Cry. Like the Far Cry games have a co-op mode that you guys can just run around shooting things. That will work too sometimes.
Yeah. I would say that it's not a bad idea to kind of look around at like what stuff like Cuphead or...
I don't know about Cuphead.
Well, you can
play
play
games are really hard.
Yeah.
That game is really hard.
Enter the Gungeon is also really hard. I'm just looking at a series of co-op games. Castle Crashers is a good one.
Yeah, like I said, beat 'em up games are great about that sort of thing. Like buy like an old Final Fight on or something, or because or something similar to that. Like beat 'em up games are very fun because of co-op modes.
Oh wait, I got the perfect answer. Army of Two, the 40th day.
The Army of Two games were some of the funnest times I had with my brother.
Yeah.
Because it was just like batshit insanity.
I mean, if you like the Lego games are really fun to play.
The Lego games are really good about that.
As I said, Castle Crashers or something like that could be really fun. They re-released all those old like D&D games, right? That were like side scrollers where you use items and stuff. Dragon's Crown HD is coming out, and as long as you guys, I mean, I could imagine if a lady saw the Sorceress in Dragon's Crown and was like, "What? No, I'm playing this." But that's a fun game. But
some shooters are pretty good about it too. Like, it's very hard to try to steal a controller from somebody when they're playing a shooter.
Yes,
like especially on co-op kind of thing.
Yeah,
because you guys are just watching each other's back at that point.
But the main answer to that question is you just got to find out what she likes.
No, it's absolutely what does she like. You can't force something on somebody.
Yeah,
that's just like, especially in a game, because if somebody forced me to play a real-time strategy game, I would just be like, I'm fucking done with you. I can't. I'm not doing this shit. Like, if somebody's like, but I love this, like, well, I fucking hate it, so go away, kind of thing. Like, because that's what it is. You can't force somebody to play something they're not interested in.
Yeah, but see, even the question of like if it was an RPG, even an RPG, I feel like you got to be careful. Like, VJ, if it's an RPG that you've already played, I would highly recommend just letting her play it. And then, like, if she wants advice on how to do a thing or whatever, doing it. Because, like, man, boy, howdy, there ain't nothing worse than, like, if you and the person that you're playing with read at different rates, and then you've got dialogue that keeps going.
It's
right?
The worst.
Like, oh, are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? I would just I would find a game that she likes and then let her play the game. Like, to be honest, if you're
the Kirby games, actually, the Kirby games are good co-op games as well.
When you say, in your email, ease her into gaming, if you would like her to be a fan of video games, then probably one of the better things to do would be to take something like Portal 2 and just let her play Portal 2 by herself. Don't look for a co-op
If you're also trying to ease somebody in the gaming, Nintendo games are great for that sort of thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of party games and a lot of, like, random little fun Mario games that you guys can play together, and Mario Karts, and not Mario Party, because you may end up hating each other by the end of the day.
But specifically restricting your idea of what to play to a game that can be played by two people at the same time, I feel like if you're trying to get somebody into video games, the thing that you would want to do is hand them, BioShock, right? Be like, here, try this. Like, it's a fun game,
Don't backseat drive, though.
Yeah, don't backseat drive. Let them play it, and then if they have questions, let them know. But what you really want is you want the person to take an interest in it, to become a hobby, not as a specific activity that you do with somebody else.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to answer sometimes, because you have to sometimes know the other person.
Yeah, I put my girlfriend, I gave Night in the Woods, and she was just like, I fucking love this game. And it just came down and watched her play it. I watched her play the end of it. I never beat it because she just really liked it. And so a lot of times it just comes down to, like, find a game that person likes, hand it to them, let them play it. So.
There's a game for everybody.
Yeah. Just got to find it.
Even weird, crazy things.
Kate Josie writes in and says, hey there, dick joke deities. Y'all are a bit light on questions. Oh, this is coming from last week when I was asked for questions. Y'all are a bit light on questions this week, so here's one coming at you. I've had Kerbal Space Program for years and played on and off for that span. I finally got a successful orbit 2 weeks ago. Hip hip huzzah! Now, I just don't know how to get to the fucking moon and back. How the hell did you do that? And how long did it take? You're always a little patron, Kate Josie.
Don't fucking look at me. I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing? I got 2 words.
First, you need Tommy Lee Jones, but he doesn't actually come back from the moon at the end of that movie. So, yeah.
You need Bruce Willis. You need a bunch of miners. You need some miners. You get space miners. Okay.
And we don't mean, like, anyone under the age of 18.
That's true. So, all right. The answer to your question, Kate, is 2 words. Scott Manley. I know that sounds like a Team Fortress 2 guy. Scott Manley is a guy that runs a YouTube channel that's all Kerbal Space Program.
Oh, okay.
And he has a whole series of videos that are about, here's how to do the things in Kerbal Space Program. He has a tutorial about how to how to get into orbit, which if you're trying to manhandle your way into orbit, you're doing it wrong. You got to do a gravity turn. You got to, like, set it up. You need to do your prograde burn at a certain place at a certain time.
This is all just going over my head. By
yes,
the way.
I know.
All I'm thinking of is Aerosmith playing in my head for some reason.
Yes,
Elliot would be happy about that.
But see, here's the thing, Kate. I'm bad at moon landing. I can't land on the moon. or I can land on the moon. I just can't get back. I never have enough fuel to get back. So I always end up with a bunch of Kerbals stuck in moon orbit, and then I've got to go make a rescue mission. And if there's one thing that's even harder, God, you think getting into orbit is hard. Just wait till you try to synchronize 2 orbits and then, like, rendezvous 2 spaceships together and then, like, make them go at the same speed. So
I saw him do that drunk one time. It was very fun.
Yeah, man. It's hard. But, like, the main thing is go look at a tutorial. Like, this is not the sort of thing where you can just be like, oh, I just figured out how to calculate delta V because I've been playing Kerbal Space Program long enough.
So what you need is an infinity gauntlet. So you can control space and time, and then you'll be fine.
Yes. No, Scott Manley has great videos. There's a lot of people that do instructional stuff. But he does very, very good instructional stuff that'll teach you how to do the beginning parts of Kerbal Space Program. And then you could just, you can just do it. Also, you can always go to
Just watch
Sandbox
Armageddon
mode.
a lot of times. Yeah.
Yes, watch
it
a lot
5 times,
and
then play Aerosmith every time you make a new machine.
It's been a while, and you brought up Armageddon. Okay, so in Armageddon, the big fuck off space rock, right? It's coming at the Earth, right? It's got all the space rocks coming behind it, and there's that really thrilling scene where they're flying up into the debris field, right? And they're going, and one of the shuttles gets blown up. But they're okay. So on the Earth with gravity and air, lift is created because the way a wing is shaped, the wind on the top of the wing goes over. It has more space to travel because the way the wing is curved, and that's what creates lift. So in order for a plane to fly, it has to keep moving forward. Okay, in space, no. You don't have to keep moving forward.
Adding logic to a movie where Ben Affleck once said that.
No.
Why don't we just train the astronauts to be miners? And Michael Bay told him to fuck off.
Yes,
because he tried using logic to Michael Bay.
So there was no reason for them to drive those spaceships as fast as they could into the debris fields so they could fucking Millennium Falcon that shit.
These are just dumb fucking miner people.
Yes.
They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They weren't Tommy Lee Jones and Clint Eastwood.
It irritates the living fuck out of me. It irritates the living fuck out of me.
Or Deep Impact. That was another movie.
And then also Space Madness. That's
Space Madness. That was the stupidest thing that has ever happened.
What? Oh, I got Space Madness. What is Space Madness? I mean, like, listen, I kind of like dumb Michael Bay movies, but that one was too dumb, and I didn't watch it.
It's not my favorite film. It's Elliot's favorite film.
I didn't watch it for years, and then I watched it, and I was like, this is fucking idiotic. Why are they doing this?
It's no Rocket Man.
This is so...
If you've ever seen that film.
No, it's so stupid. Why are they doing this? This is really, 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 really dumb. Really, really dumb.
He's very passionate about this.
The books, like, there's a whole series of books that I read it was called, it was the Blackjack series. It was by, I don't remember who it was by, but it was this guy, and it's like there's an interstellar war, and like one of the big things about that was like when they came out of hyperspace into a solar system, right? It's like they can see everything in the solar system because the light that's bounced off all the things in the solar system is already showing you what happened like 8 hours ago. So you can look and be like, oh, there was a ship over there, there's a base over there, and there's guys over here. Now the people inside the solar system are not going to see the light coming off the hyperspace guys for 8 hours because it literally takes light that long to get back.
Yeah.
And so it's a big space fucking Captain Manly chest meat, right? Like in his, I got one fleet left and it's impossible odds. But they still incorporated like they've got to fly, and then it's like, when you're going into a place, it's like I've
never seen you this passionate about something like that.
I love space. you accelerate super fast, but then let's say you accelerate to whatever, right? 0.3 of light speed, right? You accelerate to 0.3 of light speed, right? But halfway to the place that you're going, you got to turn around and start going in the opposite direction because otherwise you just fucking go right past because you can't put the brakes onto a spaceship because that's not how fucking speed works. Anyway, I like space. I like math. I like math space. I like space math, and I like books about space math. And if you play Kerbal Space Program, then you should read Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson because you'll actually understand what's going on because of the whole thing and blah, 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 blah. Anywho. Sorry, Michael. These questions are... Brandon writes in and says, hello, Jeff, and amazing, kick-ass, magnificent Michael. Brandon here with one of them questions. Jeff, like you, I have a hard time playing games on easy, but I have a few genres that are exceptions. Turn-based RPGs and any strategy games. Wondering if there are any exceptions to automatically turn the game to easy mode. Thanks for keeping the site going. Unfortunately, the podcast is the only thing I can keep up with, but stay a patron regardless. Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. It's great.
RTSs, for me, I suck at RTSs.
Okay, this is the second
but
time
I really wanted to get through Halo Wars.
The second time you brought this up. What's your beef with RTSs?
I'm really bad at planning.
Really?
And so, like, if something's like, the enemy's coming, I'm like, well, I haven't built half the shit I need to survive this.
Okay. Okay.
And so
you
I'm
just find
really
yourself getting, like,
that.
fixated on, like, the ultimate weapon, and then you just don't
like,
have any infantry units?
It's either that, or I just get fixated on making really bad decisions.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, I'm going to send this person over here, because this seems like a great... Oh, nope, they're dead. They're dead. Okay. Whereas if I play a shooter, I'm like, well, I'm just going to go fucking nuts and murder everything, kind of thing. I think the closest thing to an RTS that I kind of had fun with was what was that Jack Black game with the metal game,
Brutal Legend.
Because Brutal Legend had that RTS thing for it, but you also were in the middle of it at the same time, so that's why I was better at that.
I did put God of War to easy mode to try to get that no hit challenge completed. But it doesn't matter how hard the game is because if you take one hit, the challenge is over. So I was like, fuck it, might as well be playing this on Legendary or whatever.
Yeah, character action games, they vary for me on that one.
Yeah.
Whether or not to put on an easy, like Devil May Cry 3 was really bad about that. For some people, it was really, really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of in the middle.
In America, the hard mode was normal in America, right?
Those fucking Capcom.
So Brandon, to be honest with you, I generally play games on normal because I feel like normal is the experience that the developers want everybody is like the baseline experience, right? So if you're fucking Captain Big Balls and you got to prove how fucking huge your cock is to everybody, like you could jack it up to insane Iron Man mode where if you die once it burns the disc up and like fuck you.
Yeah.
But
Metal Gear Solid had a lot of those where you got found, well, game fucking over.
Right.
It's like, damn it.
Yeah. I don't generally enjoy that level of difficulty, and like I've said for years and years and years, I think that actually I'm really happy that I got into the Souls franchise when I did, because I feel like if I'd tried to start with Dark Souls 3, I would have hated it, because Dark Souls 3 is such a big jump in difficulty from 1 and 2 that like I feel like I wouldn't have liked it very much. But generally, the only times in recent memory that I've jacked it down to easy have been a few different things. One, I did it with Wolfenstein 2 has 2 medium modes. It has like an easy medium and a harder medium.
Oh, okay.
And the harder medium is like, this is you're probably supposed to be playing it on. This is like what the developers think that like regular medium should be. And I played it on that, and I was just dying all the time. And I was like, this isn't fun. Like, I want to have fun. I'm going to put it down to easy medium, which is still a challenge, but it's fun now instead of being like, God, go fuck yourself, machine games. That's generally my thing, is if I get to a certain point where things are just so difficult that they're not fun anymore, I'm just like, nah, I'd rather have fun on baby mode than fucking be a big boy man and then like be like, God, I hate this game so much.
Yeah, there's some games where you just want to get through the story as well. And that's a good time to put it on easy, especially if it's a game that's really long.
Yeah,
because sometimes you just really want to know what the story is. Like I finally started getting to the age where I just don't have time anymore, and so sometimes I have to, because I just don't have the time to have to become the ultimate soldier. Right. Because the ultimate soldier is really hard when you have a 40-hour work week kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while because I used to do that shit as well, where I was like, come home from work, I got 6 hours to play video games, I'm going to bed, or sometimes even less than that.
I have 3 games I haven't finished though, because I just don't have time.
But generally speaking, for me, I play most games on normal, and so normal feels about right. But if the game starts getting shitty with me, then I don't mind cranking it down if that's going to save the game from being crappy. But for the most part, I don't do it because it's not necessary. For the most part, most games on normal seem like they're
most games on normal aren't
a
actually
good
all
challenge.
That hard. Yeah, and it's not. They're usually not insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you get certain games that their normal mode is a hard mode to everywhere else kind of thing. That's where I find myself doing something like that.
Or that, like in Halo, where there's like the devs are like, oh, you should be playing this on hard. I'm just like, eat all my balls.
I hate when a game says that it won't tell you the rest of a story unless you're playing it on normal or hard.
Like Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead's really bad about that. Old Super Nintendo games are really bad about that. It's like you can only get the super secret ending if you do it on the mega hard mode where everything fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, well, fuck you.
I'm not a big fan of locking stuff behind a higher difficulty level. I also
it doesn't make any sense in this day and age as well.
Yeah, I also really don't like it when games pull that Ninja Gaiden bullshit where they put the pink ribbon on you if you put it on easy, and it's just like,
because like or
fuck
when,
you,
or when you're trying to select easy and it tries shaming you.
Yeah,
instead not doing that.
Of course, on the other hand, I really dislike it when you die 3 times in a game's like, oh, do you want to put it on easy mode? And I'm just like, no, I will tell you when I would like to put it on easy
I'm really
mode.
annoyed by that too. Although I enjoy when a Mario game's like, here's a gold Tanuki suit. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it.
It is insane to me how mad people get about that golden Tanuki suit. You don't have to pick that shit
You don't
up.
even have to take it.
You don't have to take it.
I just think it's cool looking.
Yeah. But you know what? I did take it. I think in Super Mario 3D World, like on the last stage, because I was just like, you know what? I'm not having any fun here. Fuck it. I'll just go through.
Everything turns into coins. Everything's cool. You can still die with it too. Is the thing. If you fall off a cliff, you're fucked.
Yep. Let's see. Mr. writes in. Basically, this is a very strange email. The subject line is the question, and then there's just one link in the description. I don't even know what to say about this. Mr. writes in, says, from Kotaku.com, your thoughts on someone who plays The Witcher 3 for a total of 1,800 plus hours. And this is a story that was on Kotaku about a guy
good job, I guess,
who has done just that, who hasn't even finished all the content in the game. Apparently, this is a person who, this is what? Prince Halson? There's a character here that I don't know how to say. But let's see. He says that there was a part of the story where they said that he's put in huge amounts of time on other games as well, like 1,700 hours on Skyrim and blah,
there
blah,
are
blah,
people
blah.
who will do that sort of thing. There's a guy who's still playing some of the like Civilization 2, right?
Oh,
Something
almost
like
certainly.
that.
But that's a little bit different considering that Civilization 2, when you get done, you just start over again. It's like a game of chess.
No, but I mean,
almost.
like, there's a guy who literally started one specific civilization, just let it run.
Oh.
Till, like, to this day or something like that. Something, I don't remember if it was that game or another game. But there was a guy who had let something run for, like, ever.
I can understand this. It's a little much, but, you know.
No, I like, there are time frames in my life where I could see myself doing something crazy like that. Like, I used to play, like, I beat every single mode of Metal Gear Solid 3 at one point. Because I had time to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing is time. Like, I think that it says in that this guy's like a student or something like that. And I'm like, yeah.
If I had the money, I would probably just play games. And that's the end of it. I would have 100% everything I owned at some point.
Plus, The Witcher's an extremely well-made game that's very pretty, and you can kind of run around and do stuff. He's playing it on the PC. He's got a bunch of mods and stuff like that.
That probably helps too, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, you know, riding around in The Witcher 3 and, like, just fighting monsters is, like, it's a really fun activity. It's one of the reasons I would like to play The Witcher 3. The fact that you could spend 1,800 hours in it is one of the reasons that I don't want to play The Witcher 3.
But that really does show how interesting of a game it is.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I hope that it doesn't. I hope that when we talk about it on the podcast that it comes through that, like, I'm not saying The Witcher 3 is a bad game. I'm just saying I don't have time.
No, we just don't have the time.
It. Yeah. Like,
I'm playing Far Cry 5 now, and I'm still having a hard time finding the time to finish everything.
Yeah. And I still have to get back to...
You get kidnapped a lot in Far Cry 5.
What's that?
You get kidnapped a lot in Far Cry 5.
Sure do.
Like, I was walking in an area, I'm like, I'm just going to, and I got kidnapped.
That game loves to just take control out of your hands and be like, here's a cutscene, I guess. And
like,
then
I got kidnapped like 7 times in the first hour is what it felt like.
Like a boring mission that you have to get out of this place. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, anybody who wants to play a game, the same guy spent a bunch of time in Skyrim, which I can understand.
No, yeah.
I put like 300 hours into Fallout 3, and everybody's like, that game sucks. So
yeah, I put like 300-400 hours into Monster Hunter 3 or Monster Hunter 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
like it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
when you have time.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Especially if you love the game. I mean,
exactly.
I don't even know how many. Let's see. Do I still have my Steam open? Let's do a really quick experiment. This doesn't even count 3, but let's see what it says for Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 on my Steam hour count. It's probably not all that long, just because Dark Souls is less like a game like Fallout. It's just so easy to just kind of wander around and just kill some time and do some stuff.
Yeah, I used to get lost in a lot of games that were just explore kind of thing.
Let's see. I've got 232 hours in Dark Souls 2.
Like I have like
138 hours in Dark Souls 1 and 6 hours in Scholar of the First Sin. But I've got 94 hours in Skyrim. Oh, that's Game of the Year edition. It says wrong. You know.
Like I got a bunch of hours in Mad Max, for instance, which is crazy. But I had time at the time, so.
Yeah. 100 hours of Kerbal Space Program. I mean, you know, it's not hard to rack that stuff up.
Like, yeah, the Mass Effect series is another good one where I just had a shit ton of time.
Yeah, this is because I played it by myself, and then I played it with Grant, 84 hours of Mass Effect 2. So Witcher 2, 55 hours. I mean, you know, it's not hard to do that. And if you just love one particular game a lot, then, yeah.
Like, I can see anybody making 1,800 hours on something if they really do enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
Like, I probably have a shit ton of hours on Maximum Carnage because I played that game so many times.
Let's see. Hannibal Montana writes in and says, Dear Jeff and Mike, what fictional dogs in movies, TV, and video games would you want to adopt? Recently, I watched Isle of Dogs, and I love how the dogs are framed as samurai retainers serving their human masters, much like how samurai serve warlords in feudal Japan. I'd like that kind of loyalty for my pets, especially since I found out when I let my cat outside, she begs for food from my neighbor, and that the neighbor feeds her. Okay, y'all keep rocking Hannibal Montana. P.S. I'm going to give Demon Souls another chance by playing alongside the Patreon playthrough. Good luck. Remember, you can always bully your way through a thing by grinding souls and then just buying healing items and magic. That's how I beat.
I have a lot of answers to that question, though.
Go for it.
Like, right off the top of my head, Crypto is one.
Okay.
D-Dog is one.
D-Dog, yeah.
Comet from Full House, because I really like that dog. I love Golden Retrievers. They're fucking amazing. That sort of thing. There's so many dogs that when I watch a movie, I'm like, I just want that dog in general. Like Scooby-Doo. I would love the shit out of having Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm thinking...
I would take a bullet for Scooby-Doo.
And I'm just like, all of them? All of them is my answer.
The answer is mostly all of them.
Benji, I'd take...
Bingo.
Yeah. What about dog meat from Fallout?
Dog meat.
What about your dog from, was it in Fable 2, where it's like your dog?
Dude, I remember at the end of the game was like, you have a choice to either bring back everybody or your family and your dog. I'm like, well, I'm bringing the dog back because fuck you guys. I even remember the characters like, you brought back just the dog, basically? I'm like, of course, because fuck everybody else.
Yeah, that's my dog, man.
It's my dog, dude. It's my bro. He's been there with me from day one.
I'll tell you what dog I don't give a shit about is that dog from Call of Duty Ghosts that they tried to make me care about so much. They're like, look at this dog, and it's like, yeah, it's a dog. Great, it's fine.
Like Boomer recently in Far Cry 5. I'm like, I like this dog a lot.
Yeah, John Wick's dog. John Wick.
Both dogs. He said.
Yeah.
There's so many dogs, but Crypto is like my number one answer. Though.
Will Smith's dog from I
Am Legend.
I Am Legend, yeah.
The talking dog from Men in Black.
Yeah, the pug, Frank the Pug from Men in Black. Sure, why not?
I would just own all the dogs.
Yeah.
If I had the option, I would just own all the dogs now.
Even though I would say that Frank the Pug in Men in Black 1 was fine, and then they like tried to make him a thing in Men in Black 2. It's like, oh, I'm one of you guys now. I wear the little suit. Look at me, I'm a dog. And it's just like, oh my God. I don't even hate Men in Black 2 as much as most people do. Like I find it to be dumb but enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just compared to the first one. The first one was really good.
The problem is it tries being the first one, but from an opposite perspective.
Yeah.
That's
also,
really its issue.
You know how the end of Men in Black 1, how Will Smith is wearing like that weird,
black suit that he had,
Neo suit, right?
And then like never comes back again.
Yeah. And then the second one is just like,
and his other partner just never mentioned again.
They do mention her because in the second one, the Rip Torn is like, you got to have a partner, and he's like, what about Agent L? It's just like, look, she wanted to go back to the morgue. Like, they explained her away.
I literally forgot that had happened in that movie.
Yeah. Because it starts out at Patrick Warburton is this. That Men in Black 2 should be a much better movie than it actually is.
It really should have been a much better film than it was.
I kind of wish that they had just, like, not had Tommy Lee Jones. That if they had figured out a way to not make it Tommy Lee Jones.
No, I was fine with him being in it because there's a lot of great sequences with him, like the part where they're watching the video and he has the flashback to what had happened. I thought that was a great sequence. But having the whole thing be about him becoming a Men in Black again was just like, well, we're doing the first movie, but now it's Tommy Lee Jones. Like, well, that kind of destroys the point of the first movie, I guess, more than anything.
I mean, just even there's so many parts of that movie that I kind of like, and then there's so many parts of it where it's
there's
just
a lot of good parts of it, but
trying to make
there's so much that are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like the Balchinian joke.
Johnny Knoxville's got a head in his backpack that's also his head.
Yeah.
And, okay, whatever.
You remember the Balchinian joke, right?
Oh, yes.
What a
Yep.
fucking weird joke.
Yep. It's got
But yes, the answer is all of the dogs.
all the dogs. All the dogs.
Mostly Crypto, because there's a great Superman comic where Crypto just fucks up some dude
Yeah.
and saves Superman. And Superman gets up and he's like, hey, this is a good dog. And he's your dog, too. And the entirety of Metropolis claps immediately for it.
I take Sif from Dark Souls 1, the gigantic
I felt so bad.
protector of
when you have to kill
Artorias.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
after the DLC.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, yeah,
Like the
that's
shield will
the
protect you
answer.
from urban violence.
All dogs. Every dog from everything. From
Unless
Lassie.
that dog's trying to kill me. That's the only time the answer is no.
I even feel bad in the games, like in the Call of Duty game. I'm glad the Call of Duty games got away from the whole, like, click the right stick to break this dog's neck.
I've
when it's
tried
up in
not
your-
to kill dogs in Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
But then that shovel just leaves my hand.
But then here comes Nick. It's that's why as soon as I could, I picked Cheeseburger and the cat
Oh, yeah.
because I
feel like the Beastmaster when I play that game.
Boomer kept running like there was a one of those prepper stashes that was like in a construction site where the floor was electrified, and it's like I jumped onto this thing and Boomer just ran in and electrocuted himself, and I was like, God damn it. Look, man, I'm tired of watching you die. I don't like watching
Yeah, I feel really bad every time I hear him get hit.
in Fallout 3. I would not use dog meat until the puppies perk, where if dog meat dies, then you get another dog meat. Except then I got the puppies perk, and I was like, no, I still don't want the dog to die. You stay here. I'm going to bring Fox because I don't really care if the super mutant even though Fox is great, but I don't care if Fox gets 2 in the head.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody shooting my dog up. So
No, I lose it whenever the dog goes down in any of the games I play.
Yeah.
Like Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm like, I'm sneaking really well, but the second I hear D-Dog go down, everybody's going to die.
All right, Septum Sin writes in and says, Dear Jeff and excellent co-host Michael, I was listening to the podcast, and you mentioned your mention of They Might Be Giants, which brought back memories of high school.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
When I first heard the song I Palindrome I, that moment where he just says, you son of a bitch, made me do a double take, as it was a little jarring, and because of it, the song still brings a smile to my face today. Are there any games that have moments like that are jarring, but still leave a positive feeling because for the game because of them? Your proud patron, Septum Sin. That's kind of an interesting question.
It is. Like, I'm sure there are some but I just can't think of any at the moment.
Yeah, also, by the way, everybody that's listening, I don't let my co-host read these questions ahead of time. I read them and think about them, but
I don't have to think about this one.
that's a very interesting song because I Palindrome I, which is from is it from Lincoln? I don't know. Early on in a song. Basically, it's about a young man whose mother is rich, who kills his mother to get her money, and then grows up and notices that his son is like kind of getting ready to kill him to take the money, and so that's why it's I Palindrome I.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
Anyway,
I just thought of one. The Earthbound.
Okay,
Because Earthbound has a lot of what the fuck moments, but I ended up liking the game more because of the insanity of it. Like the final boss, for instance, like you're fighting this fucking grotesque ass thing, and you had to change your body into like a robot to fight him to begin with, and the only way to beat him is to pray.
oh yeah,
And like stuff like that, like is a little jarring, but like especially for at the age I was when I played Earthbound, like I had the strategy guides, so that's the whole reason I was able to beat it.
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, that's one of the games I could think of right off the top of my head, at least.
Near Automata is almost entirely that feeling for me. Like the way that game starts, and like you have to turn up the gamma in order to activate your optical sensors.
Yeah.
And like I didn't even realize this, but like I went through most of that game, and there's like a set. So in Near Automata, you can literally like turn on and off different program stuff, and a lot of it is like for attacking and defending. I didn't realize that there was a vendor. I forgot that there's a vendor that literally sells you. Imagine if you had to buy a skill and equip it in a game, and that skill was automatically pick up the thing on the ground instead of having to hit the circle button to pick up the thing on the ground. Like, and that's a thing. But you can like, there's a loadout that you have, and you have a certain amount of memory space, and every thing like bonuses to attack or different types of attack or like elemental damage or hacking bonuses or whatever is in this one big block, and it has to you have to create all those. You have to fit everything in that block. Let's say you're too short from creating that block. You could literally unequip health bars on the enemies to get to memory to put in.
That's actually kind of amazing.
The damage. You can literally unequip like the entire UI, and things like automatically pick up a thing, right? Or you can literally do that in order to get more space, and that's why Nier is fucking nuts.
Oh, I just remembered a whole bunch of them.
Nuts. I didn't realize for the longest time in that game that like there's always a moose sleeping next to the fast travel points. And I was like, why is there always a moose here? It's because that's your quick travel system. Is you quick travel to the general area, and then you get on the moose and ride the moose to where you're going in the game.
That's kind of amazing.
And I didn't realize that until I was like 90% finished with the game, and I was like, oh, right, because I just been running on foot to everywhere I needed to go instead of fucking taking the moose out in the desert like you're supposed to. Fucking desert moose.
I just remembered like a bunch of things that I consider jarring, but made it a great thing. Is basically the entirety of the Metal Gear Solid series, because there's some of the most jarring fucking things I've ever seen in a video game in pretty much every single Metal Gear Solid
There's
game.
A lot of
and
those.
90% of them involve Otacon at some point. Like, especially like in Metal Gear Solid 2 when he talks about his backstory about his family. You're like, Otacon, please stop. I swear to God, you're freaking me the fuck out with your fucked up shit right now.
Everybody forgets about Otacon slept with his stepmom.
No one forgets about that because it's fucked up. And everything about and it's one of those things where, like, if in real life, if I met Otacon, I'm like, I'm not being friends with you because everyone you know is literally dies at some point.
There's that cool thing when you're fighting at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 and the system is trying to stop you, and it literally brings up the game over screen, except that you're still controlling yourself behind it, like fighting.
Did I ever tell you the story of when I beat when I got to that point in Metal Gear Solid 2?
No.
I was awake at like 3 a.m. because I'd been playing like the entire day.
Yeah.
And the Colonel came on because that's the thing about the game is like it tries doing a bunch of shit. And the Colonel came on and went, "You've been playing for a long time. You should go to bed." And it was like 3 a.m. and I'm exhausted. And just like at that point, I thought I was hallucinating.
Yeah,
because I was just like, you know what, Colonel? I think you're right. Because I was not in the
system got you, man. You got ensnared by the system.
Like, it wasn't until the next day I played, I'm like, oh, that's part of the game. I wasn't hallucinating that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many moments like that in the Metal Gear Solid series.
Eternal Darkness is like that too. When the insanity effects start to kick in, and it does that weird stuff. Oh, you know what? Yeah. I will say that, okay, they've done this a bunch of times, but the first time that I played Metal Gear Solid and fucking Psycho Mantis is like, I see you like Castlevania games. And I'm just like, what?
The fuck?
What are you talking about? Later on, like on the PS3, it was like, put your controller on the table and I will... Metal Gear Solid 4, put your controller on the table and I will control it with my mind, and then it just rumbles the controller, and I'm like, okay.
No, but did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 4 before the DualShock 3 came out?
Yes.
You remember what he does at that point, though, if you don't have a rumble controller? If you don't have the rumble controller, what happens is that you put the controller down, and then nothing happens.
Oh, right.
Psycho Mantis is like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm powerless, so you just fuck him up.
Yeah.
So when they came out with they finally came with the DualShock 3, when it happens, he gets all giddy because it's there again.
Right, yeah.
And I remember just like laughing so hard at that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff.
There are a few other games, it's just it's one of those things I can't like. There's one specific one, but I don't remember the name of it, which is it's really well known though, because it's that war game where like you're like, I'm doing the good thing, but it turns out at the very end like you've been doing fucked up shit the whole time.
Oh, Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops: The Line, yeah, that one's another good one.
BioShock. See that I was thinking of BioShock and that, but that's more just like that's the point of the game.
No,
instead
but that's
of
the thing
little...
but that's the thing is it's a jarring moment that happens.
Yeah,
but that it makes it better for it, kind of thing. Because BioShock has like something similar. BioShock 3 Infinite, I feel like, has something similar to that too. Like there's quite a few games that have jarring moments in them compared to the rest of the game.
You know, it's funny because John and I were actually just talking about BioShock as it relates to the end of Far Cry 5 and how Far Cry 5 is very kind of heavy-handed with its like, well, what if you're the bad guy? And it's like, fuck you, Far Cry 5. I know I'm not the bad guy. The guy is kidnapping people and drugging them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the bad guy. But Far Cry 5 is like, maybe you are. And I'm like, no, I know I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah, I've been kidnapped like 8 times. How am I the bad guy?
Whereas, like, BioShock, it really only worked once. But I feel like out of all the BioShocks, BioShock 1 works the best because you are trained to do what the voice on the other end of the radio tells you in a video game. And then they're like, see, you were mind controlled, and you just did it all because the voice was saying this phrase.
That was a really
and you're
smart thing. Yeah.
What the?
That shit blew my mind. The first time that happened,
because you're like, oh no, I'm not. Oh wait, I am.
It's like I have just been murdering things since he told me to.
Right, and then like it's funny because the game literally doesn't give you a choice. Like you can't not play the game, right? If you're trying to go against Atlas.
At the time, you don't think about that though.
Yes, but it's so casual that when that reveal happens, you're just like, fuck. Yeah.
There are a lot of things, but the Metal Gear Solid series, I think, is my best answer for that, though.
They got a lot of good stuff in there. Fucking Snake's Dream in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, which was like a game that got canceled. After a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of
weird, crazy shit in the Metal Gear Solid series that's jarring, but it's a better series for it.
Yeah. All right, let's see. We got 2 more, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. This is from Julio. Julio says, "Hey Jeff and Mike. As college and life in general goes on, I seem to have less time in consuming long or expansive media. I usually give TV shows / anime 3 to 5 episodes to see if I stick with it or not, and give an RPG around 8 to 15 hours to see if I'll actually finish it. So, Masters of our Lord and Phallic Savior, what is your limit in consuming long media? Thanks."
I wish I had that time. I wish I had it so bad. 8 to 15 hours for an RPG to be like, yeah, this is a good idea. You son of a bitch. Flaunting that in my face.
Well, see, you have a day job.
Yeah, I have a day job.
So what is your limit? Where do you kind of draw the line as far as let's go down the list. So like movies.
With movies, sometimes it's just I ask people first before I jump into some stuff.
So for me,
but since I've been doing the movie review stuff, I've just been watching things right away now. To be honest,
movies are so short that
it's easier to give a movie a chance.
It's the decision to watch a movie, not whether I'll never turn a movie off halfway through because I'm 45 minutes in. I might as well just watch the other 45 minutes, right?
I got to find out who the killer is eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd rather watch this and then be able to say, no, that movie was shit. I'd rather finish watching the Cloverfield Paradox than be like.
With a show, though, I try to give it 2 or 3 episodes. Like 3 is my max with some shows. Although I have had times where people are like, well, no, it gets good after like episode 5 or 6. I'm like, well, like if you'll tell me that, then I will try going back in. But if it's like my first go at something, then yeah, I'll try giving it like 3 episodes at most.
These days I'm down to 1 for TV because I just don't have time. Like I don't have time for you to ramp up. Show me something. Like it doesn't have to be like episode 1 is the greatest episode of television that's ever occurred, but I need to see something that makes me want to keep moving as opposed to
it does. No, like I get that 100%. One of the reasons though I try giving it 2 or 3 episodes is one of the most recent things that if I would have given it 1 episode I probably would have stopped was BoJack Horseman, which is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Yeah, but
the very first episode of BoJack Horseman is very strange compared to the rest of it because it has weird Family Guy like cutaway gags kind of thing. And it doesn't have all of the emotion just yet. Like, it's ramping up to that point.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But after, like, the 2nd or 3rd episode, I was like, wait, I'm actually going to get into this. And then before I knew it, I've rewatched that series, like, 5 times. Like, from beginning to end each time.
And then what do you think about games?
With games, it also... Yeah, it depends on the game. Sometimes I just end up not giving some games a chance. I'm not gonna lie, because the difference between giving a game a chance and a TV show a chance is it's much harder to just get your hands on a game for free for like an hour or two,
Right.
than it is to watch something on Hulu because it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because GameFly doesn't just like automatically like instant transmission to your house,
Yeah.
and then you can try it and be like, well, I don't want it, and then it disappears and becomes another game. That's not a thing,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So with games, it's much harder to really be like, I'm going to give it a chance. The only way I can really do that is if somebody has it and I decide to borrow it for like for a few hours, and like you said, if there's something here that's going to grasp me, then I'll go from there.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, like, I was thinking about that today because there was a news story that I asked about the Trails of Cold Steel, I think is the name of it. It was like a PS2 RPG that I think John and I played a little bit, and then we played the sequel when it came out, and it seems like there might be something there, but, like, after playing it for, like, 3 hours, it's still kind of just starting to get moving, and I'm just like, I can't take the chance that after 12 hours, this might just be a good game and not the greatest game, because if I'm going to put 12 hours into a thing, it should probably be The Witcher, right?
The best example of that is when Final Fantasy 13 first came out.
Yeah.
And I tried it for like a couple hours, and I was like, I just don't like this. And then like a week passes by, and I have friends going, oh, it gets really good after like 20 hours. I'm like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm not doing that. 20 hours? No, I'm not doing that. Like, if a game isn't good in like the first few hours, or at least has something that makes me interested to keep going and the story wise, then no, fuck you. I'm done with you.
It's interesting to me because Final Fantasy 13 got me because of the graphics, because it was so pretty, and then I think that the combat system in Final Fantasy 13 gets a real bad rap, because I feel like it's a zoomed out version that, we've been controlling your party for years.
Yeah.
And now instead of controlling each individual party member, you're doing you're switching between party tactics and then kind of watching them do their thing. Plus, I love the battle music, and I love the way that it looks when they're fighting stuff. So that drew me in, and then also because the game is a big hallway, you don't have to worry about missing content, because you're just like, boop, 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 boop,
for me,
boop.
the story just wasn't very interesting to me. Like,
Worst part of the game. Yep.
Yeah, and so that was one of the main reasons. That was the thing, is most people were like, well, the story gets kind of good after like 20 hours. I'm like, I'm not wasting 20 hours of my life to maybe enjoy something. Like, it's not happening.
Yep. And it's funny because I would never try to argue that with you. However, I think that Final Fantasy 13-2 and 13-3 are both very good games, but you really do need to play all the way through 13 before you get to 13-2, where it is talking all about Lightning and Lightning's sister and all this bullshit, and you kind of need to know what's the Foul C, what's the Less C, what's the
recap it or something.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that like because nowadays we can just go to Wikipedia and read,
or YouTube for that matter,
or and there are whole people that just put up entire cutscenes. I talked to a coworker at work who watched God of War, the new PS4 game.
Oh yeah,
like, because he's like, I don't have time, so I'm just gonna watch the entire thing, like it was a movie. And because you can do that now, because people do that on PS4. Like when the Back to the Future Telltale games came out, I had a friend who just watched them.
Yeah,
I played them she just went to YouTube and watched it like it was a movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
And you could easily do that with RPGs and stuff. But like I said, when it comes to games itself, you have to get me in the first few hours in some way, either in story wise, gameplay
just a glimmer of something,
a glimmer of hope kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Animes,
also,
though, I can't blame you on that one. That one, animes can get kind of tricky though.
What's that?
Anime stuff can get kind of tricky, because I have a friend who didn't really get into Cowboy Bebop till episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, people have been giving me crap for a long time about JoJo's, and I gave JoJo's two chances, and it just, there's something that it didn't work with.
The first part of JoJo's is very slow.
Yeah,
it's very short though. But if you skip like straight to either part 2 or part 3, that's where shit gets kind of insane.
I got through part 2 and was kind of like, yeah, I see it, but it's just not. It's not doing it for me. There's some connection that I'm not getting here, right? Like, I'd rather be watching Gurren Lagann again, or maybe the new Gundam instead of this, right? But
they did announce another Gundam pretty soon, another UC storyline.
I never even finished watching the Char backstory that was on Hulu.
Well, no, that's still going on though.
Oh, okay.
That's that one comes out pretty soon. Actually, the Rise of the Red Comet is coming out pretty soon.
Okay,
so Origins is still going on. Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, this is not a question. It's just Ron says, please play more Spy Party. That was great. Ron.
It was a fun video to watch.
And then it says Ron plays games badly, which I assume is the name of... I assume that it's like his auto signature. I assume that he has like a channel or something on YouTube, and that he doesn't just sign all his emails letting everybody know, hey guys, I'm real bad at video games, by the way.
Who knows? Some people have weird signatures.
Maybe. Ron, to be honest, I would absolutely and positively love to play more Spy Party. The problem right now is just the fact that, like we did 3 parts of Yakuza, and I think parts 2 and 3 barely got more than like 500 or 600 hits. It's just, I feel like this just, if I could take just a moment to vent, like I know that Rage Select is a niche thing and that there's about 400 or 500 people that really are the core audience of Rage Select, and that if there's a popular game or a co-host that people like, a lot of times it'll get up to closer to 1,000 or 2,000. But like, it's really disheartening to me that Minute that we played a few weeks back got like didn't break 1,000 hits, but like God of War Slave Fortress with the boob lady in the thumbnail, which I know because I'd made that thumbnail on purpose, got like 1,700 hits. And I'm like, but Minute was such a fun game. And Amanda and I had such a great time playing it. Like, it's a great concept for a game, and it was really well executed, and it's worth everybody's time. And then it's just like, blurp, blarp.
Well, that's the thing. I think that goes back to the last question.
Yeah.
Is when do you give YouTube channels or YouTube videos a shot sometimes?
See,
because I feel like that's another part of it too.
For me, I actually watch a lot more YouTube than here's Around Plays Games Badly playing Fable. Anyway, I feel like I actually watch a lot more YouTube videos because they're so fucking short. That like, I think that oh no, Michael, I'm going to out myself as a big SJW. Nobody knew. I was keeping it under wraps. Like, I really like Lindsay Ellis's videos. I think she just did a 3-part retrospective on The Hobbit that was actually super insightful. I really like. I'm watching a lot of the X Channel Awesome people, along with the whole change the channel thing that's happening over there. But I realized that I really like Kyle Calgren, who did Brows Held High, who just does artsy fartsy movie reviews. But I like it because he breaks down the artsiness and the fartsiness and explains to you, like, this is a surrealist movie. Here's what surrealism is. Here's how we got to this movie, and I like that. I like H Bomber guy, who I like his really long. He's like 90-minute video about why Sherlock is terrible, and I like it. I even watched. He did like an hour-long video about why he likes Dark Souls 2 a lot. And some guy made a 9-hour response series to literally every line, broken down. Like imagine if every line of an hour-long video was taken, and then the person spent like 25 minutes talking about like every paragraph,
why they were wrong,
and why you're just wrong and you don't know what you're talking about. I really like Down the Rabbit Hole, Frederick Knudsen. That's been a new guy that I really like. He does kind of like little mini documentaries. I actually just got done watching. I don't necessarily watch. I used to watch Movie Bob a little bit more, but I just watched his 3-part series about like Batman, why Batman versus Superman is so terrible, and I really liked that. Like the 3rd part especially really, really put into words kind of, I think, what one of my major problems with that was. But like, in any case, what you're saying is, and the thing about YouTube is that because of these videos that I watch, every time I go to YouTube, I don't actually subscribe to anything on YouTube, even though I say I like and subscribe, is that it always just, it's like, here's some extra credits, and here's like,
I have a lot of subscriptions.
Criticism of that Ruby show.
There are 2 specific YouTube channels I watch the most, besides like Rage Select is one, Funhouse is another one, more than anything. And every now and then I'll watch a Game Grumps here and there.
I like Film Theory and Game Theory. I like Matt Pat stuff.
Also, Honest Trailer stuff. Like a lot of shorter stuff I end up watching a lot.
Yeah. I actually like Philip DeFranco quite a bit. I watch his stuff. But, it's a lot easier for me just to watch a 20-minute YouTube video while I'm eating my lunch than it is to watch. It's the reason I keep meaning to watch Lost in Space. I want to watch Lost in Space. It looks really good.
I keep forgetting it's out.
But it's just like it's 40 minutes, and I know that if I start watching it, then like I'm going to have to watch it. Like, I could watch all of that Batman Ninja movie probably in the time it would take to watch 2 out of the, 8 or 9 episodes
There's
of...
like 13 of them, I think.
Oh, God, Lost in Space? Yeah. Like, Jesus.
I think that's my problem with a lot of Netflix shows. Is they're hour-long, 13 seasons.
I want to watch Legion real bad, but
I keep forgetting to watch Legion.
I keep forgetting to watch Legion.
Everyone I know is really in the Legion.
Yeah. And I just would like to watch Legion more, but I can't. So, so that's kind of where I end up with. And so... Ron, I would like to play more Spy Party. Also, I'm not going to lie that on like day 2 of quitting smoking, somebody on YouTube commented on Spy Party and they were like, Jeff's indecision is really fucking irritating me. And I was like, you know what? I'm really irritated with you, YouTube man. Like, I was about to start typing in all caps and I was like, no. It's been like 48 hours since you've had a cigarette. Calm down.
Just calm your ass down.
Back it up. Back it up. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to Spy Party when we don't have something else. Right now, I mean, this month is very sparse. But like right now, there's a fair amount of stuff to look at.
I'll get you to play Gundam eventually.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up.
New Gundam Breaker.
Tell me, Michael, tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on oneofus.net. I've been doing a lot of reviews there. We just recently did a review for Avengers Infinity War.
There you go.
It does have spoilers in it, though, so just watch it at your own, or listen to it at your own risk.
I would say
you're not able to pause it right away.
Yeah, maybe
because there's a spoiler-free part of it, but the thing is, if you're not fast enough at pausing it, you'll probably get to a spoiler section without noticing.
There was a part during that spoiler-free, I use quotey fingers part where somebody made a reference to something, and
I actually got mad about it.
Fuck!
I actually got mad about that part because I that's why I was like, I can't say anything about anything because it will ruin it. Even if I make that reference, it will ruin it.
It's not a bad reference. It just it tells you a thing.
I tried not. I wanted to say.
I'm not throwing this at you or anything.
No, but that's the thing is like with the entire when it happened. If you could see me in the room, I was like, like I can't reach him. I can't stop him.
Yeah. But yeah. And y'all know what I mean. How the fuck are you listening to them? How are you at like hour 2 of the Rage Select podcast? You don't already know about Rage Select. So that. By the way, Labo, it's coming. It's coming, but it's going to take a little while.
Play All-Star on a piano.
Going to play All-Star. Till then.
Find that, by the way. That's on YouTube somewhere. Somebody played the first chunk of All-Star by Smash Mouth using the Labo piano. It was the very first, apparently it was the very first Labo like gameplay music that popped up online.
I fucking love Smash Mouth. I don't care.
The internet is a wonderful place.
You can play as much of it as you want to. We'll see everybody next week.